Chapter 481. He isn't in our circle. Shuya explained faintly. Well, if that's the case, then forget it. The host didn't take it seriously. After all, this had become Shuya's signature excuse to refute rumors. Many people thought that Shuya's heart belonged to someone else was just an excuse. She just didn't want to be involved in scandals. Next, Miss Shuya, please get ready to sing the title song in the new album, Our Commemoration. The host made a gesture of invitation. I remember when you engraved your name on it. You put it on my hand. Our hearts were connected to each other. Yang Ming listened to Shuya's sad singing, and his mood became heavy. It was as if the person who gave the ring to Shuya in the song was himself. Looking at Shuya on the TV, Yang Ming couldn't help but be stunned. The door was pushed open. Lin Jiyun walked in and saw Yang Ming watching TV. She said casually, "You also like to watch variety shows? Isn't this Shuya?" Yang Ming was stunned and recovered from his trance. "You're back?" And Dad saw the news. Today, Mei Rinnie has returned to Rinnie Company to preside over the overall situation. He held a press conference and said that he didn't disappear a while ago, but he went out to sell goods. He just said that he wouldn't let any company bear the loss. Lin Jiyun said. What? He held a press conference? Yang Ming frowned. He originally thought that Wu Qiren would go to the police station to surrender, but he didn't expect him to play it so cleverly. He easily pushed away his own responsibility. Yeah, Dad was very happy to see it. Lin Jiyun nodded and said, "Channel. Let me see." Yang Ming picked up the remote control and changed the channel. "Don't change it. The show is already over. Just watch this show. I also like Shuya," Lin Jiyun said. Yang Ming nodded and put the remote control back. He continued to watch the variety show with Shuya's exclusive interview. Only the host asked Shuya some strange questions which made Yang Ming a little crazy, but Lin Jiyun watched with relish. After the interview with Shuya, it was followed by an interview with another star. Although the little girl looked good, Yang Ming wasn't interested. He left Lin Jiyun there to continue watching. Yang Ming went to Lin Chongqing's room. "Uncle Lin, are you all right?" Yang Ming smiled and pushed open the door of the room. "And that's great." "Yang Ming, how did you know that he was coming back?" Lin Chongqing's face was full of smiles. "One of my friends is a more powerful local character. I know about it through him." Yang Ming casually turned Brother Snake into a more powerful local friend. In any case, Lin Chongqing couldn't find anyone to verify it. "I see. Yang Ming, thank you so much this time." Lin Chongqing still didn't put the credit on Yang Ming's head. He just thought that Mei Rinnie had a conscience. Yang Ming didn't want to say this to Lin Chongqing. Lin Jiyun could understand some of his own things, but people like Lin Chongqing might not be able to understand. Therefore, it was better not to say it, lest he think that his son-in-law was a gangster. "It's okay, Uncle Lin." Yang Ming smiled. "This is what I should do, isn't it?" Yun is happy. Lin Chongqing nodded and said, "Right, when are we going back to Songjiang?" "We can do it now." Yang Ming said, "Why? Is Uncle Lin homesick?" "I have been out for so long. I haven't earned a penny and I even got into trouble. I really want to go back quickly." Lin Chongqing sighed and nodded. "Then let's check out now and go back?" asked Yang Ming. "No. Is there a car now? Isn't it at 1 o'clock in the afternoon?" Lin Chongqing was stunned. "Uncle Lin, I heard from Jiyun that you were a driver in the factory in your early years." Yang Ming also heard from Lin Jiyun that Lin Chongqing could drive, so he left Ho Zhenhan's car key. "Yeah, I did work as a driver." "What's wrong?" asked Lin Chongqing. "Then do you have a driver's license?" "If you have a driver's license, let's drive back now." Yang Ming said. "I have a driver's license. I came to Donghai to find a job. Naturally, I brought all these documents." Lin Chongqing said, "But where is the car?" "Uncle Lin, Jiyun and I drove, but the car can only seat 2 people. I just borrowed a Jetta from a friend, so if you can drive, we can go back now." Yang Ming said. "That's great." Lin Chongqing stood up happily and said, "What are we waiting for? I will pack up. You go and call Jiyun. Let's go." Yang Ming returned to the room and saw that Lin Jiyun's program had just ended, so he said, "Jiyun, pack up. Let's go back to Songjiang now." "So fast?" Lin Jiyun was stunned. She didn't expect to leave so soon. "Why, do you still want to sleep with me? Didn't you sleep enough?" Yang Ming said mischievously. "Stop it. You know I didn't mean that." Lin Jiyun blushed and scolded Yang Ming. She began to get up and pack up. When she and Yang Ming came, they didn't bring anything, so they just checked if they had left anything behind. The two people saw that there was nothing left, so they went to Lin Chongqing's room to help him pack his luggage. Lin Chongqing didn't have a lot of things. One suitcase was enough. Yang Ming picked up the suitcase and the three of them went downstairs together. After checking out, they left the hotel. Uncle Lin, you can drive this Jetta. Yang Ming put the luggage in the trunk of the Jetta, and then handed the car key to Lin Chongqing. What about you? Lin Chongqing took the car key and asked. We are driving that car. Yang Ming pointed to the Audi R8 not far away. Lin Chongqing took a deep breath. Although he didn't know how much the car was worth, it wasn't cheap at first glance. Lin Chongqing was secretly worried again. Yang Ming seemed to be extraordinarily rich. Can my daughter be worthy of him? Isn't it just for fun? Although Lin Chongqing also felt that Yang Ming's character was good, no one could say for sure about this kind of thing, so Lin Chongqing decided to remind his daughter to pay attention when he went home. Yang Ming naturally didn't know Lin Chongqing's thoughts. After he got in the car with Lin Jian, he started the car. After Tian Dongguang returned home, he asked someone to inquire about Yang Ming. He inquired and inquired, but there was no character named Yang Ming in Donghai. Damn it! Did he make a fake certificate to deceive me? Why can't I find him? Tian Dongguang punched the sandbag in anger. After sending the Lin father and daughter home, Yang Ming called Sun Jia. Sun Jia actually strangled the phone. It was so late and it wasn't time for a meeting. Why didn't Sun Jia answer the phone? Fortunately, it didn't take long for Sun Jia to call back. Yang Ming, what's the matter? I'm eating outside. I'm back in Songjiang. When will I return the car to you? Yang Ming frowned. Why didn't she answer the phone while eating? However, it wasn't good to ask. Don't worry. I'm eating at the Nightless Club now. It will end around 9 o'clock. Can you pick me up? Sun Jia thought about it. Okay then, 9 o'clock. When Yang Ming heard that Sun Jia was eating at the Nightless Club, his heart was relieved. Sun Jia must have contacted Bao Sanli through Yang Li. Today Ho Jinhan was back, so it was normal for them to have a meal together. As for why the phone was cut off just now, it was because although Sun Jia was strong, it was better to be polite in other people's territory. It was probably because she was toasting, so it wasn't convenient to answer the phone. After hanging up the phone, Yang Ming looked at the time. There were still 2 hours before 9 o'clock, so he drove directly to Red Flag High School. Yang Ming didn't forget the character that Lon Ling's grandmother gave him to monitor the gatekeeper, Uncle Ma Xiaoyao. Yang Ming passed by the roadside supermarket and went in to take 2 bottles of Wuliangye. He thought about it and put it down again. My relationship with Uncle Ma isn't very good. If I suddenly give him a big gift, it will definitely arouse his suspicion. So Yang Ming simply took 2 bottles of low-grade white wine, paid the money and left the supermarket. In this way it could be said that someone gave it to me, so I gave it to him. It was also reasonable. Yang Ming came to the door of Red Flag High School and knocked on the door. After a while, Uncle Ma came out with drunken eyes. He looked at Yang Ming and said, Yang Ming, why are you here? Chapter 482. Someone gave me 2 bottles of white wine, so I brought them for you. Yang Ming smiled and said, open the door. Hehe, you are very considerate. Uncle Ma nodded with a smile and then opened the door. Yang Ming walked into Uncle Ma's guard room with 2 bottles of wine and then put the wine on the table. Why, do you have something to ask me? Uncle Ma glanced at Yang Ming and asked. Nothing. I just came to see you. Yang Ming's heart was shocked, but his face was very normal. He couldn't see anything wrong. Really? Isn't it wrong? Are you so kind, kid? Uncle Ma snorted. Hehe, in fact there is also something. Yang Ming's mind began to work quickly. He had to find a reasonable reason. You see, if there is anything, just say it. You're looking for me, an old gatekeeper. Can't be a big deal. Uncle Ma shook his head. What else are you embarrassed to say? This is the case. I want to inquire. After Wu Qiren left, who used his original desk, Yang Ming was quick-witted and came up with such a seemingly reasonable reason. Is that it? Do you need to give me a gift? Uncle Ma was stunned. He didn't expect Yang Ming to look for him to inquire about something. What gift? I don't drink white wine. I just brought it on the way. Yang Ming smiled and said, and the only person I know in Red Flag High School is you. I can help you inquire about this. I will accept these 2 bottles of wine. Uncle Ma saw that Yang Ming's matter was very easy, so he accepted the wine he sent. Then I will trouble you, Uncle Ma. Yang Ming smiled and nodded. This was just an excuse he came up with temporarily. Yang Ming didn't expect to find any clues. It was impossible for the teacher who came later to keep Wu Qiren's things, especially some of the students' letters. However, isn't there a saying? As the saying goes, a well-intentioned flower does not bloom, but an unintentional willow grows. What Yang Ming didn't expect was that he actually discovered something when he casually mentioned it. Of course, this was a story for another time. Now Yang Ming was sitting beside Uncle Ma's bed, casually talking to him. Grandpa Ma, it's been so many years. Why are you still living in the school? Don't you have any relatives? Yang Ming pretended to ask casually. Family. Uncle Ma's mouth twitched twice and his eyes were a little wet. However, this was only for a moment and he quickly covered it up. They're all gone. I can't find them, I see. I'm sorry. Yang Ming looked at Uncle Ma and said apologetically. It's fine. It's been so long. It doesn't matter. Uncle Ma shook his head. Uncle Ma, isn't your home in Songjiang? Yang Ming continued to ask. No, I came here later. Uncle Ma said, it's been so many years since I started living here. It's really not easy for you. Yang Ming sighed casually. Yeah, I should have a lot of children and grandchildren. AI. Uncle Ma shook his head. Yang Ming listened to Uncle Ma's words and he felt a little strange. Why does this Uncle Ma seem to be hiding something from me? But it's not a complete concealment, but it's deliberately revealing some information. Yang Ming couldn't help but be vigilant. Could it be that he saw some flaws? Oh, it shouldn't be. I don't have any interaction with him. I'm only in contact with him as a former student. Moreover, there is a reason. Could it be that I'm thinking too much? It's possible. Uncle Ma, don't be angry. How about I come to see you when I'm free? Yang Ming said tentatively. Are you here to see me? Are you here to inquire about the news? Uncle Ma glanced at Yang Ming and said. Yang Ming opened his mouth incredulously. Could it be that Uncle Ma really saw something? Didn't you come to inquire about who used Wu Qiren's table after him? Do you dare to say that your first purpose is not this? Uncle Ma took a sip of wine and smiled. Hee, you even saw through this. Yang Ming's face smiled unnaturally. He was relieved in his heart. Fortunately, it's not what I thought. I was too sensitive. But after being frightened by Uncle Ma, Yang Ming didn't have the mood to continue to ask. He said a few words, got up and said goodbye to Uncle Ma. Seeing Yang Ming drive away, Ma Xiaoyao, who was a little drunk and couldn't open his eyes, suddenly became energetic. He changed from a dispirited old man to a bright and energetic one. He took out a stack of photos from a small box at his bedside and looked at them. And the people in the photo were Yang Ming and Lan Ling holding hands. Yang Ming parked the car at the door of the Nightless Club. After the expansion and renovation of the Nightless Club, it was now one of the largest entertainment and dining venues in Songjiang City. In the parking lot, luxury cars could be seen everywhere. Yang Ming's Audi R8 was not too conspicuous here. When it was almost 9 o'clock, Yang Ming received a text message from Sun Jie, asking if Yang Ming had arrived. She had already finished eating. Yang Ming replied with a message telling Sun Jie where he was. Not long after, Yang Ming saw Sun Jie accompanied by Ho Junhan and Bao Sanli out of the Nightless Club. It could be seen that the three people were in a good mood. They should have had a good chat just now. Suddenly, Yang Ming's nerves suddenly tightened. He wanted to jump out of the car and rush to Sun Jie, but the distance was too far. Yang Ming also knew that it was impossible, but he still subconsciously jumped out of the car. Because Yang Ming saw a black shadow rushing towards Sun Jie. Fortunately, when Yang Ming saw the thing in the hand of the person who rushed over, he secretly breathed a sigh of relief. The person was holding a bouquet of roses in his hand. Sun Jie, I finally found you. This is for you. The man handed the flowers in his hand to Sun Jie. This person was Guodongchuan, the son of the underworld boss of Jiduan City. Guodongchuan, how did you find this place? Sun Jie frowned. Today Sun Jie was annoyed to death. This Guodongchuan came to Songjiang City in the morning, and then kept calling to ask her out. Sun Jie of course directly refused. I don't know how this Guodongchuan inquired and came directly to the Nightless Club. In fact, it was Yang Ming who was to be blamed for this matter. How would Guodongchuan know where Sun Jie went? It was just that one of his men who came to Songjiang with him happened to see Sun Jie's Audi R8 in the parking lot of the Nightless Club. Then he told Guodongchuan, so he ran over. Sun Jie, I miss you, so I came to see you, Guodongchuan said very affectionately. Sun Jie frowned. Guodongchuan, my words have been very clear. I don't like you and you're not my type, so it's impossible for us to be together. No feelings can be cultivated. Guodongchuan shook his head. You give me a chance. I will prove myself. Guodongchuan, this person didn't look like a hooligan, but he gave people a gentle feeling. If the person he was talking to wasn't Sun Jie, but a little girl on campus, she might have been fascinated by Guodongchuan's words of love. Guodongchuan, this isn't a matter of opportunity, but I don't have feelings for you at all. Sun Jie said very firmly. But When Guodongchuan saw that Sun Jie was going to leave, he quickly extended his arm and stopped in front of her. This gentleman, please respect yourself. Miss Sun has made it clear enough. Please go back. Ho Jinhan frowned and said to Guodongchuan. Who are you? Do you have the right to speak here? The reason why Guodongchuan said this was because he subconsciously regarded Ho Jinhan and Bao Sanli as the bodyguards sent by the Sun family to protect Sun Jie. When he was talking to Miss Sun, how could the bodyguards have the right to interrupt? Oh. Bao Sanli suddenly smiled. If we don't have the right to speak, then why do you have the right to speak? Seeing that Miss Sun knows you, I'll let it go this time. Get out of here. Who are you talking to? You want me to get out? Do you know who I am? Guodongchuan wasn't such an arrogant person, but now in front of Sun Jie he was humiliated by a few small bodyguards. How could Guodongchuan endure it? A burst of anger rushed to his brain. He pointed at Bao Sanli and said, Your master is polite to me, but you are arrogant? Master? Bao Sanli was stunned. Could it be Mr. Y? At the moment he didn't dare to refute. He just looked at Ho Jinhan, but after seeing Ho Jinhan shake his head and say that he didn't know this person, Bao Sanli was completely angry. Chapter 483. How is it? Are you scared? Guodongchuan saw that Bao Sanli was stunned. He thought that Bao Sanli was scared. Suddenly he was full of confidence. He pointed at Bao Sanli's head and said, I am talking to Sun Jie. You stay where you are. Bao Sanli was completely furious this time. This is Songjiang's territory. Who are you? You pointed at Songjiang's big brother and second brother and scolded them? Do you not want to live anymore? Well, even if your identity isn't ordinary, you're showing off in Songjiang. That's not giving face. So no matter who you are, what you are doing now is a bit too much. Bao Sanli suddenly raised his hand and punched Guodongchuan. He directly beat Guodongchuan up. You dare to hit me? Guodongchuan was furious. He jumped and started to curse. But unfortunately, Bao Sanli's group of underlings saw that their boss had made a move. How could they just watch? Like a swarm of bees, they swarmed over Guodongchuan and pulled him aside to madly fix him. Sun Jie frowned, but she didn't say anything. She didn't know how to participate in this matter. Now Bao Sanli was defending her, so he fought with Guodongchuan. But with Guodongchuan's identity, would he just let it go? It shouldn't be, right? She had a headache when she thought about it. Because of her own matter, it involved the dispute between the two major gangs. Forget it. Let him go. Sun Jie hesitated and said, Sorry, Miss Sunday. Now it's not just a problem between you and him, but a problem of him making trouble in my territory. Bao Sanli shook his head and smiled. He didn't give me face. Sun Jie shook her head and had to shut up helplessly. Anyway, she had already begged for mercy. It was fine as long as she had the intention. In the distance, Guodongchuan wailed like a ghost and howled like a wolf. Then he was forced into a van and driven away. Miss Sun, how are you going back? Ho Jinhan asked, Should I send a car to send you? No need. Someone will pick me up. Sun Jie said. Well, Miss Sun, is your person here? Asked Ho Jinhan. And he should have arrived at the parking lot. Sun Jie smiled. Okay then, Miss Sun, as for the meeting time with your father, we have to discuss it again. You know, it's almost Chinese New Year and there are more things, said Bao Sanli. Okay, I will tell my father. Sun Jie nodded and said, Then I will leave first. Thank you, President Bao, President Ho, for your hospitality. You're welcome. Ho Jinhan smiled. Where is the car? Let us send you off. There is no need, right? Sun Jie hesitated and said. After all, it was Yang Ming who came to pick her up. With their current relationship, It was easy for others to misunderstand. Let's send her off. In our territory, of course, we have the obligation to be responsible for the safety of Miss Sunday, Bao Sanli said with a careful attitude because of the incident just now. Sun Jie thought about it and felt that it was nothing. Even if they saw it, it was nothing. They didn't know Yang Ming, so she nodded. Well, it's not far ahead. Sun Jie came to the parking lot under the escort of Bao Sanli and Ho Junhan. Yang Ming had been paying attention to Sun Jie. When he saw them coming here, he couldn't help but frown. It was fine if Ho Junhan saw me, but if Bao Sanli saw me, it didn't seem to be the case. Yang Ming fell into contemplation. Is it appropriate for me to appear with Sun Jie with my current identity? However, judging from the current situation, it was only a matter of time before my identity was disclosed. I have already shown my face in front of Brother Snake of the Four Snakes gang, so Yang Ming wasn't afraid of his identity being exposed. Thinking of this, Yang Ming didn't care so much. He stood firmly next to the car and waited for the three people to come over. And when Bao Sanli saw Yang Ming standing here, he was very surprised. He looked at Sun Jie and then looked at Yang Ming. He didn't know how these two people got together. Ho Junhan didn't feel surprised. After all, Yang Ming had already told him before. So when he saw Yang Ming at this moment, he just nodded slightly to Yang Ming, then he pretended to be unfamiliar and stood aside. Brother Yang. Bao Sanli hesitated and greeted Yang Ming. Brother Bao, what a coincidence. I'm here to pick up Sun Jie. Yang Ming smiled. Oh. Bao Sanli nodded mechanically. He didn't know what to say for a while. Sun Jie also looked at Yang Ming and Bao Sanli suspiciously. How do these two people who have no interaction know each other? And they seem to be very familiar with each other? Sun Jie didn't know whether it was right or wrong to let him meet with Yang Ming, but things had already happened. She could only deal with it calmly, so she said, President Bao, do you know Yang Ming? Yes. It's a life and death friendship. Bao Sanli smiled. He also saw that the relationship between Yang Ming and Sun Jie wasn't ordinary, so he tried to get closer to each other. Because the news from Mr. Y that Ho Junhan brought was that Mr. Y was very interested in his cooperation with Sun Jie. Therefore, Bao Sanli's attitude towards Sun Jie was very good. Oh. Sun Jie was stunned. What life and death friendship can Yang Ming and Bao Sanli have? It was just that the current occasion wasn't suitable to ask more, so she smiled and said, Hee, I didn't know before. If I knew, I would have asked him to come and eat together. Next time. There are many opportunities. Bao Sanli nodded and said, It's just a pity today. Ho Junhan stood there and didn't speak. There was a smile at the corner of his mouth. He thought Brother Yang just came back from Donghai. How can he be in time to eat? It's just that Brother Yang is too badass, right? He even got the Sun family's miss? Sure. Yang Ming also nodded. Next time I will treat Brother Bao and you. That's it then. I won't bother you anymore. President Bao and I will go back first. Ho Junhan pulled Bao Sanli's clothes. He didn't know if Yang Ming and Sun Jie had any programs, so he didn't want Bao Sanli to be a third wheel here. Seeing that Ho Junhan pulled him, Bao Sanli also quickly said goodbye. Although he didn't know why Ho Junhan pulled him, Ho Junhan often had his reasons for this kind of thing. Bao Sanli was a rough person. He usually didn't pay attention to these details, and he was too lazy to pay attention to these, so he listened to Ho Junhan. Sun Jie and Yang Ming got in the car. Yang Ming started the car and drove out of the parking lot. Let's talk. What the hell is going on? Sun Jie glanced at Yang Ming and asked faintly. What do you mean what's going on? Yang Ming turned on the CD in the car and listened to the melodious country music. He asked knowingly. What do you think? I don't need to remind you again, right? Sun Jie looked at Yang Ming with a smile. Yang Ming, you seem to have a lot of things that you haven't told me, right? Damn. Sun Jie, even if I tell you, I need to have a chance to tell you, right? We don't usually communicate much. Yang Ming said with a smile, you also know that there are some things that are only said at the last minute. Generally, we can only talk about some personal topics when we are lying in bed or before going to bed, right? Sun Jie rolled her eyes at Yang Ming. Nothing good comes out of a dog's mouth. Aren't you talking nonsense? Why don't you spit it out for me to see? Yang Ming snorted. I'm not going to talk nonsense with you. How do you and Bao Sanli know each other? Sun Jie looked at Yang Ming and asked. In the detention center we have the same cell. Yang Ming didn't hide it and said directly, I helped him fight once, but it was tragic enough, so our relationship is good. You have been to the detention center? Sun Jie turned to look at Yang Ming. Aren't you a college student? Didn't Yang Li tell you before? I'm just a little punk. What's so strange about a little punk entering the detention center? Yang Ming didn't want to mention Lin Jiyun's matter. After all, it wasn't so glorious. Besides, that's all in the past. I haven't been out for a long time. I thought Yang Li said it casually. Sun Jie smiled. Turns out to be true. Why? Are you looking down on me? Yang Ming asked casually. In fact, Yang Ming's heart didn't think so. If Sun Jie looked down on him, she wouldn't be so close to him. No, I think you know what my family does. We are about the same. Sun Jie was afraid that Yang Ming would think too much, so she quickly comforted him and let him feel relieved. Hey, you don't have to comfort me. I know the gap between you and me. Yang Ming said deliberately. In fact, he was just joking with Sun Jie. Turn around. Sun Jie said suddenly. Yang Ming was stunned. What are you doing? Go to the hotel. Sun Jie said faintly. Yang Ming opened his mouth in surprise. Why are we going to the hotel? Chapter 484. It can't be. Go to the hotel. Yang Ming looked at Sun Jie in amazement. He didn't know how to drive the car. Yeah, if you don't go, won't you feel uncomfortable? Sun Jie said aggressively. I didn't mean that. I was just joking. Seeing Sun Jie like this, Yang Ming was a little embarrassed. He didn't know what to do. Yang Ming, what do you want me to say to make you understand? I don't mean to look down on you. Sun Jie saw that Yang Ming's tone was a little low, so she frowned and said. I said that I was joking. Yang Ming said with some shame. Well, you continue to drive. Go back to my company. Sun Jie said. Not going to the hotel? Yang Ming was a little anxious. When Sun Jie said that they should go to the hotel, he was still a little hesitant. Now that she said that they weren't going, Yang Ming's heart suddenly became empty. You wish. Sun Jie glared at Yang Ming. I was also joking. Cough cough. Yang Ming was choked by Sun Jie's words. It had always been Yang Ming who made fun of others. Now he was playing with fire. You really don't want to go? Yang Ming asked with some unwillingness. It's true. Sun Jie said firmly. Oh. Yang Ming wasn't the kind of person who liked to use force. Sun Jie said that she wasn't going, so he couldn't say anything. However, just when Yang Ming had given up, Sun Jie spoke again. Go to the hotel. What do you want to do? Sun Jie asked suddenly. What do you think? Yang Ming replied abruptly, not used to it. We can talk about your things, but we have to get 2 rooms. Sun Jie smiled. Then, forget it. Let's go to your company. Yang Ming sighed and continued to drive, dispelling some dirty thoughts. When they arrived at Sun Jie's company, Yang Ming wanted to park the car in the underground parking lot, but Sun Jie stopped Yang Ming. Just park it outside. Parked outside? Aren't we going to your company? Aren't you afraid of being scratched by people if you park on the side of the road? If it was a broken car, it would be fine. But this is an Audi R8. Yang Ming is afraid that something will happen to it. Yeah, I'll go up and get a material. You just wait for me here, said Sun Jie. I'm not going up? Yang Ming asked curiously. Why are you going up there? I don't need your help. Sun Jie was also a little puzzled. Just wait for me here. Didn't you want to ask me something? Not going to your company? Sun Jie's reaction made Yang Ming feel inexplicable. Just go to my house. Why are you going to the company so late? Sun Jie said with a smile. I didn't feel very comfortable eating just now. There is nothing in my stomach. I'm still very hungry. I'm anxious to go home and cook noodles. Go to your house. I'm going too. Yang Ming listened to Sun Jie's words and couldn't help but start to fantasize again. It's a blessing in disguise. Maybe tonight is destined to be a romantic night. Looking at Sun Jie's beautiful and plump figure disappearing into the company building, Yang Ming took out his mobile phone and called Ho Junhan. Brother Yang. Ho Junhan picked up the phone and said succinctly, What's the matter? Big Ho, what happened to the person who just harassed Sun Jie? Although Yang Ming seemed to be flirting with Sun Jie along the way, he had been thinking about this matter in his heart. Although the distance was far, Yang Ming could read lips. Yang Ming saw what the guy just said clearly. Now that Bao Sanli and the others had just gained a foothold in Songjiang, they shouldn't provoke any powerful characters. The person was taken away by Bao Sanli's men. I haven't asked yet. But, is there anything wrong? Ho Jinhan seemed to notice something. Ask carefully. What does that person do? At this time don't get into any trouble. Yang Ming instructed. Okay, I understand. Ho Jinhan said, I will call you immediately after I ask. No need. I'm outside. It's inconvenient to talk. Let me call you, said Yang Ming. Ho Jinhan was stunned and immediately understood Yang Ming's meaning. He left with Sun Jie, so he must be with Sun Jie tonight. This matter was related to Sun Jie, so it was normal to be inconvenient to talk, so he nodded and said, I got it, brother Yang. Yang Ming hung up the phone and waited for a while. Sun Jie came down with a document. Yang Ming opened the door and Sun Jie got in the car. Why are you still going to the company to get the document so late? Yang Ming asked casually. My father just called and asked me to get it. He is very anxious. I have to reply to him tomorrow morning, so I have to stay up all night tonight. Sun Jie said helplessly. Stay up all night? Yang Ming didn't know why, but he didn't feel very good. Stay up all night. Don't I have no chance? Yang Ming now didn't know what kind of feeling he had for Sun Jie. Do I like her? Or is it simply the feeling of conquest that men like? Yang Ming shook his head and smiled self-deprecatingly. It turns out that I rarely have such impatient thoughts. Yang Ming thought that he was a perfectionist. He didn't care much about sex without love, but since Lon Ling's voodoo. Ai little Ling Ling, you are killing me. Do you think it's so easy to be a strong woman? Sun Jie also smiled bitterly. If it weren't for Sun Jiwei being so disappointing, I would have quit long ago. The cruelty of the business world is really not suitable for a woman. It turned out to be like this. Isn't it easy to solve? Yang Ming looked at Sun Jie and said with a smile. How do you solve it? Sun Jie was a little angry. Yang Ming stopped halfway. Let your parents have another brother. Yang Ming said this and looked at Sun Jie's expression. Sure enough, Sun Jie opened her eyes wide. Just as she was about to get angry, Yang Ming continued, of course, this is basically impossible. So you can consider finding a boyfriend to help you. You're pissing me off. Sun Jie said after listening, aren't you talking nonsense? How is it nonsense? Isn't this giving you an idea? Yang Ming smiled. Isn't it because I don't have a boyfriend? Sun Jie said, why don't you be my boyfriend? Hey. Yang Ming was shocked and turned to look at Sun Jie. What did you say? Nothing. Look at how scared you are. Sun Jie shook her head and smiled. You see, you don't want to be my boyfriend. Who do you want me to find? For Sun Jie's words, Yang Ming could only smile bitterly. Sun Jie was such a strong woman. Yang Ming didn't dare to simply take her home as his wife. They could talk and play together. If they were to go home, which of his women could be her opponent? Your family background is good. There should be a lot of people chasing after you, right? So Yang Ming changed the topic. He could also ask something indirectly. Who was the person who sent you the flowers? I think he looks very gentle. Just now. You mean Guodong Chuan? Sun Jie frowned. I have no feelings for people like him. What does he do? Asked Yang Ming. The son of Jiduan City's Guojin Biao, said Sun Jie. Who is Guojin Biao? Yang Ming obviously had not heard of this name. His status in Jiduan City is equivalent to Song Zhang's Bao Sanli. Sun Jie explained. For these things, Sun Jie did not hide it from Yang Ming because there was no need. These were all things on the surface. It was easy to investigate. Besides, Sun Jie didn't know why, but she didn't want to hide anything from Yang Ming. Although it seemed that she had no intersection with Yang Ming, Sun Jie still subconsciously felt that the story of her and Yang Ming would not end here. This may be a unique intuition of women. Yang Ming heard Sun Jie's words. He was stunned at first and then a chill came to his heart. Can't be, right? Then Guojin Biao is the underworld boss of Jiduan City. Isn't Guodong Chuan equivalent to the underworld prince? As a result, the feud between Bao Sanli and Guojin Biao was set. Yang Ming sighed. I hope that Bao Sanli can have some sense of propriety. Otherwise, if Guodong Chuan is crippled, then it won't be good. However, for this Guojin Biao of Jiduan City, Yang Ming was not necessarily afraid of him. Jiduan City, although also called a city, was far worse than Songjiang. The entire area was not half the size of Songjiang. Thinking about it, Guojin Biao was not that ruthless. Since the feud was set as the behind-the-scenes boss, he had to work harder to scare Guojin Biao. If it didn't work, he could only get rid of Guojin Biao. Jiduan City is too small. There is a big gap between it and Donghai. This Guodong Chuan is quite ambitious. Knowing that someone had an idea on Sun Jie, Yangming's heart was not very good. Chapter 485. Sun Jie listened to Yangming's sour words and couldn't help but be a little proud. Why? What's wrong with you? Nothing. What can I be wrong with? I just feel that this guy is too overconfident. Yangming shook his head and said, Where is your home? The development zone, not far from Yang Li's home. It's in that direction. Sun Jie said. Yangming nodded and drove in the direction of the development zone. The people who lived here were the rich people of Songjiang, so luxury cars could be seen everywhere on the roadside. Turn left in front. Yes. It's that villa. Sun Jie pointed to an independent small courtyard. No way. So rich. Yangming couldn't help but be shocked. Yang Li's home was just a duplex, but Sun Jie had a single-family villa and a small courtyard. You live alone. Yangming stopped the car and looked at the villa in front of him. He was a little dizzy. There is also a servant, Auntie. As Sun Jie spoke, she took out the phone and dialed a number. Then she said to the person on the other side, Auntie, this is Sun Jie. I'm back. Help me open the door. You don't have a key yourself? Yangming was a bit baffled. Do you need a servant to open the door? If the servant is not at home, then can't you go back? There is a key, but it's very troublesome. If you open the door from the outside, you have to enter the password. Sun Jie said. He didn't see anyone come out. He saw the door of the villa slowly open. Yangming didn't feel strange. After all, it was now automated. Yangming started the car and slowly drove into the villa. Then he searched for a place to park. Before Sun Jie spoke, Yangming had already used his special ability to find the warm room behind the villa. How are you more familiar with it than me? Sun Jie was very puzzled about how Yangming found the warm room. Have you been here before? Damn, it's just intuition. Generally, the warm room of the villa is at the back. Yangming said indifferently. Although Sun Jie still had some doubts after listening to Yangming, she couldn't ask again. After getting off the car with Yangming, Sun Jie took Yangming and walked into the villa. A woman in her 40s opened the door for Sun Jie. Miss, you're back. And this is... Oh, Auntie, this is Yangming, my friend. Sun Jie gave a simple introduction. Oh, Auntie. Yangming nodded to Auntie. How do you do, young man? What would you like to drink? I'll go prepare. Auntie said with a smile. That won't be too much trouble, right? There were no servants in Yangming's house. This was the first time he had seen a servant, so he was not used to the feeling of being served. It's no trouble. This is my job. Auntie smiled faintly. So, Auntie, you go and make 2 cups of coffee for us. I still have something to discuss with Yangming tonight. We may have to stay up all night. Sun Jie instructed. Okay, Mississippi. Auntie nodded and then went to do it. Sun Jie took Yangming upstairs and came to a door. She pushed it open and walked in. This was obviously a study. There was a computer on the desk and some messy folders. Sit anywhere. Sun Jie pointed to the sofa at hand and said. Then she took the lead to sit down. She stretched unscrupulously and murmured, I'm so tired. The voice was so seductive that it made Yangming very tempted. His hands began to be a little dishonest as he explored Sun Jie's body. Don't move. Auntie will come in and deliver the coffee in a while. Sun Jie slapped away Yangming's mischievous hand and said lazily. Therefore Yangming understood that after Auntie delivered the coffee, she let him do whatever he wanted. Auntie, although she had taken care of Sun Jie since she was a child and could be said to be loyal to Sun Jie, she was more responsible for Sun Hongjun than Sun Jie. After all, the current master of the Sun family was Sun Hongjun. Auntie came to the kitchen and then took out a mobile phone from the gap of the cupboard. She directly dialed a number set with a shortcut key on it. After a while the phone was connected. Old son, this is Aya. Auntie whispered. Oh, that's Aya. So late. What's the matter? Sun San said cautiously. He and Auntie fell in love when they were young, but the Sun family's rules were strict. They didn't allow feelings between the housekeeper and the servant in the family, so the 2 young people rationally suppressed this feeling in their hearts. Over the years, although Sun San and Aya didn't forget each other, they also knew that this feeling could only be brought to their graves. Before they were born, it was unlikely to come together. They were afraid that others would gossip, so Sun San and Aya rarely contacted each other except for normal work matters. Aya came to Songjiang to take care of Sun Jie to avoid suspicion. Old son, I have something to tell you about the young lady's situation. You have to tell the master as soon as possible. Auntie said, oh, what's the situation? When he heard that it was about Sun Jia, Sun San immediately paid attention. Today, the young lady brought a young man back for the night. Auntie said word by word. Oh. Sun San was stunned. Really? Can I lie to you? When there was no one, Auntie wasn't polite to Sun San. However, Sun San didn't care. Instead, he felt that his heart was comfortable. If Auntie and he were estranged, then he probably wouldn't be able to sleep. The love of two middle-aged men and women. Although they missed each other, they couldn't be together. Knowing that it was impossible, they still thought of each other in their hearts. The young lady has never brought a friend of the opposite sex to the house. This is the first time. Auntie emphasized. Right, what's the young man's name? Sun San suddenly thought of something. He faintly felt that it was the case. His name is Yang Ming. Auntie said. What? It's him. Sun San was surprised. Why, do you know him? Auntie Ming asked, baffled. I know him. How can I not know him? Sun San said, well, I know about this. Master also knows a little about it. You don't have to worry about it. Rest early. Okay, good night. Auntie said faintly. But a good night was also full of a lot of friendship. Good night. Sun San hung up the phone. Auntie adjusted her mood and then began to grind the coffee beans. Yang Ming and Sun Jia were in the study. Yang Ming, when I mentioned Bao Sanli to Yang Li before, why did you pretend that you didn't know? Sun Jia was a little annoyed when she thought about it. You obviously know him. Why did you ask me to look for Yang Li again? This. Yang Ming didn't know what to say. Indeed, it seemed that he didn't do it properly. Sun Jia, actually, I didn't mean that. Then what do you mean? Sun Jia looked at Yang Ming and asked with some displeasure. Sun Jia, did you see it today? My relationship with Bao Sanli is very familiar. Yang Ming sighed and said, yeah, I saw it. Since you are so familiar with him, why don't you help me introduce him? Sun Jia said with some resentment. Actually, things are not what you think. Yang Ming shook his head and said, it's actually easy for me to introduce you to him. This is really easy to do, but it is because I am familiar with him that I don't want to introduce you to him. When Sun Jia heard this, she couldn't help but frown, but she was smart. She quickly understood the meaning of Yang Ming, but she was still a little uncertain. You mean? Yes, you may have guessed it. Yang Ming nodded and continued. Sun Jia, you said at the time that you didn't know why your father was looking for Bao Sanli. This made me feel very uncertain. You and I know what your father does. Why is he looking for Bao Sanli? There are only two possibilities. One is cooperation and the other is conflict. If you two really have a conflict, then what kind of position will I be in? Who should I help? Should I help Bao Sanli or should I help you? Sun Jia listened to Yang Ming's words and couldn't help but be moved. Yang Ming is afraid that it will be difficult for me at that time. It seems that I misunderstood him. Yang Ming is still a good person. Although she thought so in her heart, Sun Jia still said, why do you want to help me? Why? This doesn't need to be so clear, right? As Yang Ming said this, he put his hand on Sun Jia's body again. This time Sun Jia did not stop Yang Ming. She leaned quietly on the sofa and let Yang Ming's hand do whatever he wanted to her body. Suddenly. Click. The door of the study opened and Auntie came in with 2 cups of coffee. Chapter 486. Yang Ming was stunned, Sun Jia was stunned, and Auntie was also stunned. Yang Ming's hand was still on Sun Jia's body and he forgot to take it down. However, even if he took it down, it would be a bit of a cover-up. It was better to just leave it there. Miss, where is the coffee? Auntie recovered first. After all, she was a middle-aged person. She was already used to some things. Just put it on the coffee table. Sun Jia really wanted to kick Yang Ming now. However, if she hit Yang Ming's hand now, it would be useless. She simply pretended to be very natural. Okay. Auntie put the coffee on the coffee table and didn't look at Sun Jia and Yang Ming. She just said, Miss, if there is anything else, please tell me. I will go down first. As Auntie spoke, she left the room. Yang Ming, I really don't know what to say to you. When you are with me, can't you think of something else? Sun Jia glared at Yang Ming and said helplessly, I'm sorry. I have troubled you. This time Yang Ming was very sincere. After all, it was his fault that brought trouble to Sun Jia. Sun Jia was happy in her heart. Yang Ming's behavior didn't bring her too much trouble. Even if Auntie Ye told her father, it didn't matter because she had already been brewing a plan. A plan that required the cooperation of Yang Ming. That was to let Yang Ming pretend to be her boyfriend and accompany her home during the Chinese New Year. If this wasn't the case, Sun Hongjun wouldn't give up. He would endlessly introduce boyfriends to her all day long. Sun Jie was annoyed to death. Therefore, in order to let her father give up, Sun Jie decided to directly bring back a boyfriend to show her father, so that her father would dispel the idea of continuing to introduce boyfriends to her. However, why look for Yang Ming? The reason was very simple. Yang Ming had pretended before, so he was familiar with it. Moreover, she and Yang Ming had a relationship. They weren't estranged from each other and weren't awkward. However, the most important thing was that Sun Jie didn't hate Yang Ming in her heart. Sun Jie sighed and said deliberately, I really don't know if I owed you in my previous life. Since it is already like this, what's the use of saying sorry? Think of a way to salvage the situation. Remedy? Good. Yang Ming nodded and said, tell me, as long as I can do it, just tell me. How can I fix it? It's not that there is no way. Since Auntie Ye has already seen it, then let's just make the best of it. As Sun Jie said this, she picked up the coffee on the table and took a sip. Then she said, you continue to pretend to be my boyfriend. Oh. Yang Ming was stunned. I continued to pretend? What do you mean? During the Chinese New Year, come home with me as my boyfriend, said Sun Jie. New Year? Go home? Yang Ming frowned. He was not stupid. After thinking for a while, he said, so you're talking about this. So you're using me as a shield. Hee hee, you can understand it this way. Sun Jie said with a smile, but you're in the wrong. Sai, once you reach out, you'll regret it forever. Yang Ming sighed. I'm forced to take responsibility. You wish. If you really want to take responsibility, I still have to consider it, said Sun Jie. Really? Yang Ming smiled. Since he was already pretending to be her boyfriend, it was natural to take advantage of her, right? As Yang Ming said this, he continued to explore Sun Jie's body. Okay, don't mess around. I still have work tonight. I don't have time to be crazy with you. Come and help me look at these documents. Sun Jie picked up the folder from the table, then opened it. She took out half of it and handed it to Yang Ming. Let me see. Yang Ming took the document with some hesitation. Why are you showing me this? It's a proposal for land bidding. I've been working on it for a long time. I'm afraid there are omissions in it. Help me review it. Sun Jie said. Land bidding? Yang Ming was dizzy. Sun Jie, aren't you thinking too highly of me? Let me see this kind of thing. You don't have time. You have to learn something as soon as possible. Sun Jie said, in front of my father, the identity I arranged for you is a project manager of a real estate company. It's impossible that you don't know anything. Cough cough. Yang Ming coughed twice. Real estate company? Project manager? What the hell is going on? What does it have to do with me? Yang Ming looked at the document in front of him and was a little dizzy. Did you premeditate this? Are you waiting for me to fall into your trap? It's not premeditated. Even if there is no today's incident, I will tell you about this. However, since this kind of thing happened, then you can't refuse, right? Sun Jie smiled. You win. Yang Ming gritted his teeth and said, don't be a project manager. Is there a lower position? For example, a clerk? Or an errand boy? Someone who does a lot of work? What kind of person do you think I am? Sun Jie listened to Yang Ming's complaint and said, my boyfriend, a project manager, is the minimum requirement. I didn't ask you to be a general manager or an underworld boss. It's good enough. I think you should let me pretend to be an underworld boss. Yang Ming thought, I really do have this identity. Okay, you're still an underworld boss? At most, you're just a little punk. Sun Jie tapped Yang Ming's head. If it were me, it wouldn't matter what you do, but it's not easy for my father to pass the test. Forget it. A project manager is a project manager. Yang Ming shrugged indifferently. But Sun Jiwei knows my true identity. If he causes trouble for you, you can't blame me. He dares unless he wants to eat instant noodles for a year. Sun Jie smiled. His pocket money is in my hands. You're so ruthless. You control the economic lifeline of others. Yang Ming shook his head. Okay, but I don't know anything about this. You should at least teach me some basic knowledge, right? Of course. Otherwise, why do you think I brought you home? Sun Jie glared at Yang Ming. Who knows? Maybe you miss me? Yang Ming joked. Miss your head? Sun Jie said, look at the document. In fact, real estate. Sun Jie told Yang Ming this knowledge. One was to deal with her father, but to put it bluntly, Sun Hongjun wasn't very familiar with the real estate industry. It was all done by his underlings. The reason why Sun Jie did this was to let Yang Ming learn some knowledge. In her heart, she still hoped that Yang Ming's identity could be closer to her. However, this was also Sun Jie's little selfishness and she didn't reveal it. Sun Jie was talking seriously and Yang Ming was really listening seriously. Yang Ming's current situation was that he had money in his hands, and he really wanted to do something. Since there was such a good opportunity, he might as well learn about real estate. If possible, he could also start a business in this area. Halfway through, Auntie sent 2 cups of coffee. Originally, Auntie thought that these 2 young people were using the excuse of looking at the document to flirt, but Auntie found that the 2 people were really engrossed. Yang Ming's ability to understand was strong, especially during this period of time. He studied the discs that Fong Tian left for himself when he had nothing to do. His ability to absorb knowledge was even stronger. Often, after Sun Jie finished talking, he could draw inferences and put forward some very insightful ideas. At first, Sun Jie was talking alone, but later Yang Ming could add a few words. Until the sky turned white, Yang Ming could actually put forward some constructive opinions on this bidding plan. This made Sun Jie very surprised. Isn't Yang Ming's ability to accept too strong? Later, Yang Ming became more and more excited. He began to put forward some of his other views, which made Sun Jie feel inexplicably horrified. However, after all, a person's energy was limited. At 6 o'clock in the morning, the 2 people finally couldn't stand it. They fell asleep on the sofa. Fortunately, the sofa in Sun Jie's house was spacious enough. The 2 people lying on it didn't feel crowded and naturally they hugged each other. When Auntie came up, she saw the 2 young people sleeping. She couldn't help but smile slightly and shake her head. Then she found a quilt and covered the 2 of them. It seems that this young man named Yang Ming is good. He isn't the kind of person who only indulges in love and doesn't know how to make progress. He is a good match for the miss. Downstairs, Auntie couldn't wait to report the situation here to Sun San. Sun San was also stunned by Yang Ming's behavior. How could this be? He had also investigated Yang Ming's background, so Sun San was very inexplicable when Yang Ming and Sun Jie discussed real estate. Are you sure that they are talking about real estate? Sun San frowned and asked. Chapter 487. And it shouldn't be wrong. Although I don't understand, I don't think it's just for show. I observed it for a long time. The discussion between the 2 people was indeed very enthusiastic. It was impossible to rehearse it in advance for me to see. Besides, the young lady didn't know that I was responsible for monitoring her, said Auntie. Real estate? Sun San shook his head and said to himself inexplicably, isn't he studying computer science? How did he come up with real estate? What? Auntie heard Sun San's words and asked. Nothing. Okay, I got it. You don't have to do anything on your side. Sun San instructed. I can't do anything. I can't interfere with the young lady's private life. Auntie nodded and said. Sun San hung up the phone and couldn't help but say to himself, this Yang Ming, it seems that he isn't a simple person. He actually knows about real estate. When Yang Ming and Sun Jie woke up, it was already 8 o'clock in the morning, but the 2 people didn't sleep for long. Yang Ming woke up because he wanted to pee. Yang Ming pushed the thing in front of him. Why is it so soft? However, with Sun Jie's moan, Yang Ming knew what he touched. However, it seems that I have been touching it when I was asleep. Yang Ming smiled, pulled back his hand and sat up. When Yang Ming moved, Sun Jie also woke up. She opened her eyes and looked at Yang Ming in a daze. What time is it? It's past 8 o'clock, said Yang Ming. Past 8 o'clock? Sun Jie suddenly woke up a lot and jumped up from the sofa directly. No time. I have to go to the company for a meeting. Yang Ming went into the bathroom in a daze. Just as he wanted to close the door, Sun Jie opened the bathroom door and walked in. Yang Ming unbuckled half of his belt and was shocked by Sun Jie. Although he was very familiar with Sun Jie, Yang Ming didn't have the habit of being watched, so he asked, "What are you doing?" "I'm washing my face and brushing my teeth. Otherwise, what else can I do?" Sun Jie said as she closed the bathroom door and began to wash up. Don't you have 2 bathrooms in your house? Why don't you go downstairs? Yang Ming felt helpless. Why don't you go? Sun Jie asked. I live upstairs. Why would I go downstairs? Isn't that unnecessary? I'm about to suffocate to death. Why don't you go out first? Yang Ming smiled bitterly. You can do whatever you want. It's not like I haven't seen it before. There are so many things. Sun Jie said indifferently, ignoring Yang Ming's awkwardness. Although the words were right, the last time they were in the bathroom they had seen each other frankly. But now it was different after all. Yang Ming looked at the endless wiping on his face. He really couldn't hold it anymore. He was such a big person. He couldn't possibly pee in his pants, right? There was no other way. Yang Ming closed his eyes, clenched his teeth and began to pee. Yang Ming thought, anyway, Sun Jie is wiping her face there. She won't notice me. After half a minute, Yang Ming opened his eyes and finally felt refreshed. Yang Ming turned his head to look at Sun Jie. It didn't matter at first glance, but he was shocked. Sun Jie had already washed her face and was looking at him intently. Why are you looking at me? Yang Ming was embarrassed and subconsciously pulled up his pants. Oh, you also have times when you are shy? What were you thinking when you were seducing me yesterday? Sun Jie smiled sarcastically. Ugh, isn't this different? Yang Ming shook his head. Since he was already seen, Yang Ming didn't care anymore. He continued to say shamelessly, why don't you show me? I don't want to go to the bathroom now. I'm afraid I'll disappoint you. Sun Jie smiled slyly. Forget it. You slowly put on your makeup. I'll go out first. Yang Ming was a boy and he didn't pay much attention to his appearance, so it was normal that he didn't wash his face in the morning. I suddenly want to go to the bathroom again, but you can't see it. Sun Jie waited for Yang Ming to completely walk out of the bathroom. Then she slammed the door and smiled sinisterly. Yang Ming was speechless for a while. This Sun Jie, why is she like a child? Yang Ming thought, if I want to look at you, is it useful for you to lock the door? It's useless for you to wear clothes. However, Yang Ming wasn't the kind of person who liked to peek, so he didn't bother with Sun Jie. He didn't want her conspiracy to succeed. He walked forward without looking back. Sure enough, as Yang Ming expected, after a few steps, he heard the bathroom door behind him being opened. Apparently, Sun Jie wanted to see if Yang Ming was waiting at the door to peek, but she was obviously disappointed. Looking at Yang Ming's figure, Sun Jie had some doubts. This kid usually looks very perverted, but why is he so serious sometimes? After Sun Jie finished washing, she didn't bother to eat breakfast. She and Yang Ming each took a piece of bread and went out. Send me to the company, Sun Jie said while eating bread. Send you? Go to the company? Yang Ming was stunned. Can't you drive yourself? I'll go straight back to school. You go to the company with me. This plan was perfected by you and me. Some places were proposed by you, so you have to participate in this meeting. Sun Jie said. This isn't necessary, right? Yang Ming hesitated. I'm not familiar with the people in your company. Why should I go? My father will monitor the live situation of the meeting through remote equipment. I hope you can show your face. Sun Jie said. I see. Since Yang Ming had promised Sun Jie that he would go to her house to pretend to be her boyfriend during the Chinese New Year, he really couldn't refuse Sun Jie's request now. Sun Hongjun. Maybe I will have a chance to cooperate with him one day. It's not bad to show my face first. Otherwise, I'll just treat it as helping Sun Jie. Okay. Thinking of this, Yang Ming nodded. However, if I say something wrong during the meeting, don't blame me. Just like you did last night. Sun Jie said with a smile. Originally, everyone is discussing together. It doesn't matter if something is wrong. We can improve it together. Last night? How was it last night? Is it like this? Yang Ming reached out and explored Sun Jie's body. If you can drive with one hand, then you can do whatever you want. Sun Jie rolled her eyes indifferently. It's automatic. It doesn't matter. Yang Ming smiled. Yang Ming said this, but he didn't do it. Instead, he focused on driving the car. Yang Ming's mental endurance was far stronger than ordinary people, so Sun Jie kept yawning, but Yang Ming was very energetic. Looking at Sun Jie like this, Yang Ming really felt that he was right to come. Letting her drive the car, Yang Ming was really a little worried. When they came to Sun Jie's company, Yang Ming parked the car in the underground parking lot and then walked into the company's elevator side by side with Sun Jie. Sun Jie's company's office building was rented with other companies, so the people in the elevator didn't know Sun Jie. It was now past the working hours, so they didn't meet Sun Jie's company employees along the way. When they came to the floor of Sun Jie's company, Yang Ming followed Sun Jie directly into the conference room. There was some commotion in the conference room, but it became much quieter after Sun Jie entered. "Little Zhang, you go and sit over there." Sun Jie looked at her secretary Little Zhang, who was next to the main seat of the meeting. "Hey manager." Little Zhang nodded, picked up the pen and paper and sat in another position. "Yang Ming, you sit next to me." Sun Jie instructed Yang Ming. Yang Ming didn't say anything. He nodded and sat in Little Zhang's original position. The people in the conference room were very puzzled. What is the origin of this Yang Ming? To be able to participate in the company's important meeting, you must know that the people here are the company's executives. In particular, Yang Ming is still so young. He looks like he is about 20 years old. Could it be that he is also a child sent by the Sun family to train? "Okay, Little Zhang, turn on the remote video. The head office has to monitor the live broadcast of our meeting." Sun Jie instructed. "Okay, manager." Little Zhang stood up and began to set up the camera in the conference room. "Let's start the meeting," Sun Jie said calmly. There was an indescribable confidence and calmness in her tone. Yang Ming looked at the different Sun Jie and was a little confused. The cunning Sun Jie in the morning and the strong woman Sun Jie now, are they the same person? Let me introduce everyone. This is our company's honorary consultant, the project manager of the Mingyang Real Estate Development Company, Yang Ming. Just as Yang Ming was lost in his thoughts, Sun Jie suddenly introduced him. Chapter 488. The people below were very unfamiliar with the Mingyang Real Estate Company. They didn't know what kind of company it was, but they were very confused about the title of honorary consultant. It seemed that if they guessed correctly, this person was really likely to be a relative of the royal family, a relative of one of the major shareholders of the head office. Mingyang Real Estate? Honorary consultant? Yang Ming smiled bitterly for a while. What kind of title is this? Mingyang? How could Sun Jie come up with this name? He probably made it up based on her own name. Unfortunately, it was the same name as Ho Jinhan's security company. However, Yang Ming really had the intention of forming a real estate company. He didn't expect Sun Jie to be right. Yang Ming intended to let Ho Jinhan do it. With Ho Jinhan's background, it shouldn't be difficult to establish a foothold in Songjiang's real estate industry. Since Sun Jie introduced it like this, Yang Ming couldn't refute it. He had to stand up calmly and nodded to everyone like an expert. Although the group of executives below didn't know the true identity of Yang Ming, they thought that the person who could be valued by Sun Jie was either a relative of the head office or a real expert. Therefore they also applauded enthusiastically. Yang Ming wasn't used to it, but he had to smile to everyone. Fortunately, Yang Ming's face was thick. Even a machine gun couldn't penetrate it. Sun Hongjuan's schedule every day was very tight. For remote meetings like Sun Jie's, generally speaking, he just took a few glances, and then let the secretary be responsible for following up. But today Sun Hongjun heard the name of Yang Ming, so he watched the video of the meeting with interest. "President Sun, the time for the regular meeting every morning is coming soon," the secretary reminded him. "Today's regular meeting will be arranged by Vice President Wang. I won't be going," Sun Hongjun instructed. Yes, President Sundate. Although the secretary was very puzzled, the president rarely delayed the regular meeting. Since the president had spoken, the secretary didn't dare to disobey, so she respectfully left to arrange the morning meeting. After the secretary left, Sun Hongjun picked up the phone on the table and dialed a number. "Old San?" asked Sun Hongjun. "Master, it's me," Sun San said respectfully. "Go to my study, turn on the computer and connect to the internal video conference channel. Take a look. Is it this Yang Ming?" Sun Hongjun said. "Okay, I'll be right there." Sun San put down the newspaper in his hand and quickly walked to Sun Hongjuan's study. Usually, only Sun San could enter Sun Hongjuan's study room. The other servants were not allowed to enter. This was because there were a large number of copies of contracts and some trade secrets stored inside. Sun San entered the study, turned on the computer and entered the internal meeting channel. In the meeting, Sun Jie was speaking and Yang Ming was sitting next to Sun Jie at the moment. "Did you see that?" Sun Hongjun asked. "I saw him." "That's right, it's him. He's the one who came to the Eastern Sea last time." Sun San took a look and said with certainty. Oh, was it really him? But how did he become a real estate consultant? Sun Hongjun frowned. Didn't you tell me that he's a college student studying computer science? This is true. I have already seen his school file. He is indeed a freshman at Songjiang Industry University, and he is also studying computer science. Sun San said, just this morning, Aya. Yu Yanan called me and said that Yang Ming was resting at the young lady's place last night. Continue. Sun Hongjun gestured. He wasn't a conservative person, not to mention that his daughter was already so old. He had no right to interfere with his daughter's private life. According to Yu Yanan, the young lady and Yang Ming discussed real estate in the study room last night. The discussion was very enthusiastic and it didn't seem to be fake. Sun San said. I got it. Sun Hongjun nodded. Whether it was fake or not, it will be clear in a while. Old San, both of us are not very familiar with real estate. I will find an expert to come and take a look at it for me. Okay. Sun San said. Right, I understand the matter between you and Yu Yanan. Let's do it this way. I will give you a time. When Sun Jie gets married, you and her matter will be done together. Sun Hongjun sighed and said. Master, we are already so old. We don't think about it anymore. Don't make fun of me. Sun San was suddenly blushed. You're old. Why don't you think about it? Old people also have old people's love. Sun Hongjun said, well, this matter is settled. I will arrange it for you when the time comes. Yes, thank you, Master. Sun San said very excitedly. He knew that Sun Hongjun had always been a man of his words, so he no longer refused and quickly thanked him. Yes, he had been waiting for this day for too long. Sun San didn't dare to disobey the strict family rules of the Sun family. Sun Hongjun wouldn't easily change the family rules for anyone, but today he made an exception. Of course, this was also because Sun Hongjun's mood was still good today. But Sun Jie, who had always been single, was finally willing to be close to a man. This showed that his daughter had this idea. Let's not talk about whether Yang Ming was qualified to be the son-in-law of the Sun family. At least Sun Jie had a boyfriend, which was much better than being single. Moreover, over the years, Sun Hongjun had also lowered the standards of Sun Jie's spouse. From the beginning, he kept introducing some famous families to his daughter, to urging Sun Jie to quickly bring a boyfriend home like a little old man every day. This was also the reason why Sun Hongjun didn't intervene after knowing about Yang Ming. Anyway, let's wait and see first. If I really forced an intervention, would my daughter, who was easily moved, completely give up? Therefore, Sun Hongjun didn't dare to make a move. He could only silently investigate Yang Ming behind the scenes. Moreover, Sun Hongjun also knew his own daughter very well. Today Yang Ming could appear at this meeting. It could also be seen indirectly that Sun Jie was showing her boyfriend to him. With the status and financial resources of the Sun family today, there was no need to have any requirements for Sun Jie's spouse. The identity of the man was actually not particularly important. After all, the Sun family was now the first family in Donghai. But now what was the Sun family most lacking? Talent. This was Sun Hongjun's biggest worry. No matter how strong Sun Jie was, she was just a woman. Some things couldn't be handled by a woman. For example, it wasn't appropriate for Sun Jie to handle the matters of the Sun family in the underworld. Sun Jiwei was obviously a ado who couldn't be helped. How could Sun Hongjun not be upset? After 100 years, would the Sun family's huge foundation be destroyed? It was also for this reason that Sun Hongjun didn't interfere in the affairs of Sun Jie and Yang Ming. Because he was watching, seeing what kind of person this Yang Ming was. If he was really a talent, then it didn't matter what his background was. The Sun family didn't lack a background, and a real talent wasn't afraid of a low background. On the contrary, even if he was a son of a famous family, if he was an idiot, what was the use? At that time, not only would the Sun family's foundation be ruined, but even his own family's foundation would be ruined. This was also why Sun Hongjun wasn't optimistic about Guo Dongchuan. Guo Dongchuan gave Sun Hongjun the feeling that although this person graduated from a famous university, he was too superficial. If he said that he came out to mingle, he was too cultured. If he said that he didn't mingle, he was too martial. To put it bluntly, he was a cultured person with a bandit aura. It gave people a feeling of being neither high nor low. There was a good saying. In this day and age, we aren't afraid of gangsters, but we are afraid of gangsters with culture. However, Guo Dongchuan's culture didn't seem to be the case. It was too far from the momentum of a real superior. It was more like a nouveau riche who wanted to be part of the upper class. But for the young Ming on the screen now, Sun Hongjuan's first impression was quite satisfied. In any case, this young Ming's temperament was good, and it wasn't easy for a college student to be able to stay calm in the company's high-level meeting. Looking at the calm smile on Yang Ming's face, Sun Hongjun couldn't help but nod. This person at least had the identity of a superior. Sun Hongjun hung up Sun San's phone call and called the company's real estate department. He directly transferred a few senior experts to the chairman's office. He was ready to examine this young Ming. If it was really possible, then he would focus on training him. However, this young Ming looked like he was only in his 20s. Of course, this was just looking. The actual investigation showed that he was less than 20 years old. His daughter was already 25 years old. Sun Hongjun sighed. Although it seemed that his daughter was well maintained, and this young man named Yang Ming looked quite mature, after all, his age was still there. Chapter 489. One had just entered university, and the other was about to graduate as a graduate student. This gap was indeed quite big. Thinking of this, Sun Hongjun shook his head. But as long as the two young people were willing, it would be fine. At this moment there was a knock on the office door. "Come in," said Sun Hongjun. "President Sun, are you looking for us?" A few engineers from the company's real estate department came in. They were responsible for land bidding. "Come and take a look." Sun Hongjun waved his hand. "This is a branch meeting. Help me check it out." "Okay, President Sunday." Although several engineers wondered why Sun Hongjun was suddenly interested in the branch meeting, they couldn't neglect the instructions of the chairman. So they sat down and watched the video of the meeting seriously. At this time it was Yang Ming's turn to speak. Yang Ming couldn't help it. Sun Jia was obviously forcing him to do something beyond his ability. Yang Ming helplessly picked up the proposal that he discussed with Sun Jia yesterday and began to talk about it. Yang Ming was very helpless now, but he couldn't help it. Everyone was looking at him. He couldn't just run away, right? However, at the beginning Yang Ming had some stage fright, but as he immersed himself, Yang Ming also began to talk incessantly. Yang Ming's ability to understand was strong. Plus, he had a general understanding of the proposal last night, so it wasn't very difficult to talk about it. Instead, he added a lot of his own opinions. Although Yang Ming didn't say some professional terms very well, at least the meaning was expressed clearly. So, the executives present had the illusion that Yang Ming was a local expert. Even Sun Hongjun understood what Yang Ming said. Yang Ming was clearly speaking the language. If he knew this, he wouldn't have asked those engineers to come over. What did he say? Sun Hongjun, who didn't understand much, listened to Yang Ming, who wasn't very professional. He could understand it, so he was happy to hear it. "Director Sun, with all due respect, I'm afraid this person isn't from the real estate industry, right?" An expert hesitated for a long time before speaking. Because he just saw that Sun Hongjun seemed to be listening with interest, but because he was responsible for the company, he couldn't speak without thinking. He could only test Sun Hongjun's attitude. "Well, I don't think he's from the real estate industry, but I think what he said makes sense." Sun Hongjun was very satisfied with Yang Ming's performance. It was already very good for a computer science major college student to speak like this. Moreover, Sun Hongjun could now be completely sure that Yang Ming was absolutely improvising on the spot. It was impossible for Sun Jia to have premeditated it in advance. Otherwise, Yang Ming wouldn't have come up with such unprofessional words. "That's right. Many of the theories he said are correct, but the way he said them is a bit too unprofessional. And many of them are just whimsical ideas. Although they inspire a lot of the proposal, they are not very useful in practice." "It's not very practical," said the expert engineer. "I think it's very good. Okay, you guys go and do your own things first." Sun Hongjun waved his hand and let these experts leave first. Then he called Sun San. "Old San, what did Yang Ming say just now?" Sun Hongjun asked with a smile. "Not bad. I understood it." Sun San also smiled and said, "This young man is a talent. It's already very good that he can speak like this." "I think so too. You continue to pay attention to him." Sun Hongjun said. "Right, investigate his private life, by the way." "Okay, master, I got it." Sun San replied. In the conference room of Sun Jia's company, the executives looked at Yang Ming with wide eyes. Indeed, some of Yang Ming's ideas made these people feel very novel, but the way of expression was somewhat lacking. Despite this, these people still applauded. They couldn't help it. They couldn't figure out Yang Ming's identity. Maybe Yang Ming was a township entrepreneur in a small place. Sun Jie was basically satisfied with Yang Ming's nonsense. After the meeting, Sun Jie said to Yang Ming, "I didn't notice that you are quite cohesive. You are calm in the face of danger." I didn't expect this group of people to be so easy to fool. Yang Ming smiled. "Come on, but your performance is not bad." Sun Jie nodded to Yang Ming. "If there's nothing else, I will go first. I am about to take the final exam. These days the teacher is quite strict. It may be bad enough if I don't go to class," said Yang Ming. "That's fine." Sun Jie nodded. "Do you want me to find someone to send you?" "No need. I will just take a taxi," Yang Ming said. Looking at Yang Ming leaving, Sun Jie's mouth showed a smile. "It seems that Yang Ming's performance is really beyond my expectations. I don't know how my father is. What kind of impression would he have of Yang Ming?" Yang Ming walked out of Sun Jie's company. His mind was still in a daze as if it was a lifetime ago. "Yesterday, I just casually agreed to Sun Jie's request and went to her house to pretend to be her boyfriend. It seems that I am now Lin Jiyun's substitute boyfriend. Now there is another one. Am I a professional imposter?" Yang Ming smiled bitterly for a while. This Sun Jie's house was different from Lin Jiyun's house. Yang Ming was likely to be exposed if he wasn't careful. Moreover, the most exaggerated thing was that Sun Jie actually asked him to pretend to be an expert of a real estate company. This was simply inappropriate. However, things had already come to this point. Yang Ming couldn't back down even if he wanted to. Anyway, nothing would happen to him at that time. At most, he would be kicked out by Sun Hongjun. He stopped a taxi and came to the school gate. Yang Ming handed the driver 15 yuan. The driver gave Yang Ming 2 yuan and then pointed to a luxury car not far away. What car is this? So badass. Could it be a Rolls-Royce Phantom?" As soon as Yang Ming raised his head, he saw a retro luxury car parked at the entrance of the school. Yang Ming didn't know what a Rolls-Royce Phantom was, but looking at the appearance of this car, it wasn't cheap. "I don't know which rich person's child is going to school here." Yang Ming shook his head and didn't care about those useless things. He took the 2 yuan from the driver and walked into the school gate. Before he took 2 steps, the door of the Rolls-Royce opened. 2 young men wearing sunglasses came out from inside and directly blocked Yang Ming's path. "Wait a minute." The man in sunglasses reached out and stopped Yang Ming. Yang Ming squinted and looked at the 2 arrogant guys in front of him. He said coldly, "Get out of my way. You're Yang Ming?" The man in sunglasses didn't bother with Yang Ming but asked directly, "Who are you?" Yang Ming frowned. These 2 people actually called out his name as soon as they came up. Obviously they came specifically for him. "You don't know, but our boss wants to see you," the man in sunglasses said faintly. "Your boss? Who is it? What does he want to see me for?" asked Yang Ming. "Our boss. You will know when you see him. As for what he wants to do, it is impossible for us to know," the man in sunglasses said bluntly. "Boss?" Yang Ming glanced at the Rolls-Royce behind the 2 men. Although he hadn't seen it before, Yang Ming had also heard of the Phantom. This car was expensive. It wasn't something that ordinary people could afford. Yang Ming really hadn't seen people who could come up with such a big sum of money. Wang Shifan's car was a Mercedes-Benz S600. As for those Song Hang, it was already badass to be able to drive an Audi and Passat. Sun family? A word suddenly appeared in Yang Ming's mind. "Yes, I just came out of Sun Jie's conference room and someone is looking for me. If it isn't the Sun family, who else can it be? Moreover, who can come up with such a big sum of money? Besides the Sun family in Donghai, who else is so rich?" Thinking of this, Yang Ming subconsciously glanced at the license plate of the Rolls-Royce. He found that it wasn't a license plate from Donghai, but a black license plate from another country. Joint venture? Yang Ming was stunned, but then he was relieved. Many luxury cars didn't come in through normal channels, and many foreign companies had the right to directly import cars. So if the Sun family wanted to buy this car, it wasn't impossible to get it through other companies. However, isn't this Sun Hongjun thinking too highly of me? He actually got such a luxury car to receive me? Of course, Yang Ming was also very clear about Sun Hongjun's purpose. If he said that he specially sent this car to pick me up, Yang Ming wouldn't believe it even if he was beaten to death. Although my real identity is very badass, it isn't public after all. My current identity is a student. It is impossible to enjoy this kind of treatment. The rest of the explanation is easy. That is, Sun Hongjun wants to use this to show the strength of the Sun family and get a car to challenge me. However, although this car was expensive, Yang Ming's money could buy many of these cars. Thinking of this, Yang Ming smiled and asked, "People from the Sun family? What Sun family?" Chapter 490. Are you sent by the Sun family? Yang Ming looked at the two people in front of him and asked calmly. Sun family? What Sun family? The two people were stunned and looked at Yang Ming inexplicably. What? You are not from the Sun family? Yang Ming's nerves immediately became alert. If Sun Hongjun was looking for him, then Yang Ming would have some confidence in his heart. After all, there was a reason. But now these two people drove such a luxury car to find him. Yang Ming really didn't know what to do. Yang Ming glanced at the Rolls-Royce with his special ability. There was no one else. This made Yang Ming slightly relieved. He was confident that he could easily deal with the two people in front of him. Please. Although the two men in sunglasses said please, they didn't mean to invite him at all. If your boss wants to see me, then let him come by himself. Yang Ming glanced at the two people in front of him and said contemptuously, your tone is not small. One of the men in sunglasses was about to attack, but he was stopped by the person next to him. You better cooperate. I guarantee that you are not in any danger. The other man in sunglasses said calmly, however, if you don't go, don't blame us for using force. Although the tone was very calm, anyone could hear the threat in the words. Using force? Yang Ming smiled. It was the kind of smile that was very skeptical and contemptuous. It wasn't that he looked down on these two people, but these two people didn't deserve his respect at all. Our boss is very busy. It's good that he can see you in his busy schedule. Why are you so troublesome? Hurry up and get in the car. The first man in sunglasses impatiently reached out to grab Yang Ming. But Yang Ming easily slapped away the guy's outstretched hand. Then he sneered, if you don't want to be disabled, don't touch me. The first man in sunglasses' arm was numb. He didn't expect Yang Ming to have such great strength. He was a little surprised. Mr. Yang, I hope you can cooperate. Our boss is looking for you with no ill intentions. The second man in sunglasses saw that Yang Ming wasn't moved by force or persuasion, and he seemed to know kung fu, so his tone became polite. Are you kidding me? Your boss is looking for me and you want me to cooperate? Yang Ming shrugged and said with a crooked mouth, sorry, I'm not going to accompany you. As he spoke, Yang Ming lifted his leg and walked into the school. Wait. The man in sunglasses was anxious and quickly stopped him. Wait for me to call our boss. Take your time, I still have to go to class. Yang Ming walked away without looking back. What should we do? Asked one of the men wearing sunglasses. This kid is very strong. It's a bit strange. The second man in sunglasses said, let's call the boss first to ask for instructions. Yang Ming quickly flashed behind a teaching building, and then observed the two people at the door through his special ability. He wanted to find some clues from their conversation. Sure enough, Yang Ming saw the two men in sunglasses return to the car. One of them took out his mobile phone and dialed a number. Because it was dialed through the phone book, Yang Ming couldn't see the phone number. Hello boss, this is Xuanzi. The man in sunglasses who called said. On the other side, he didn't know what was said to him. Xuanzi continued, boss, we waited for Yang Ming at the school gate, but he didn't go back with us. Yes, it's my fault. But Yang Ming is very tough and it's not very appropriate to catch people in public at the university gate. Yang Ming sneered when he saw this. This guy actually knows how to excuse me. Isn't it appropriate to catch people in public? Is he afraid that he can't beat me? Yes, I know. But Yang Ming said that if you want to see him, you have to see him yourself. He doesn't have time. Xuanzi said hesitantly. What was said on the other side was something that Yang Ming couldn't know. Then Xuanzi nodded and hung up the phone. After reading this, Yang Ming was still a little confused. He didn't know what these two people were up to. Yang Ming watched for a while and found that the two people didn't leave but continued to stay in the car. They both kept silent. Yang Ming didn't need to continue to observe. So he turned around and prepared to leave. Suddenly, an old man wearing a red armband rushed in front of Yang Ming. Fine. Yang Ming looked at the old man in front of him in amazement. He didn't know where the fine came from. I'm an inspector of the school security office. You urinated and defecated everywhere. The fine is 100 yuan. Otherwise you will be given a demerit, the old man said as he took out a receipt from his pocket and prepared to fill it. Urinated and defecated everywhere? Yang Ming looked at the old man inexplicably. When did I urinate and defecate everywhere? You just stood under the wall for a long time. Don't think that I didn't see it. The old man said with a stare. Hurry up and pay the money. Which eye of yours saw that I urinated and defecated everywhere? Yang Ming didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Can't I stand under the wall? You didn't urinate when you stood under the wall? You dare to say that? You're lying with your eyes wide open. The old man waved his hand impatiently. Don't waste time. It's fine to pay the fine. You can go to your tutor. Are you from the school security office? Yang Ming suddenly looked at the old man and asked. Yeah, hurry up and pay the money, said the old man. Where's the work permit? Let me take a look, said Yang Ming. Look at what work permit? The old man stared and said, I haven't seen your student ID yet. Then I don't have time to talk nonsense with you. Yang Ming waved his hand and said, I'm very skeptical about whether you're from the security office. You're on your own now. As he said this, he was about to leave. Wait, don't go. The old man grabbed Yang Ming's collar. Yang Ming was annoyed. Looking at the old man's weak appearance, Yang Ming really didn't dare to use force. He was afraid that this guy wouldn't be able to get up directly. Everyone come and see. College students urinate and defecate everywhere. Admit your mistake. The old man seemed to be a Beijing opera singer. His voice was so loud that it was unparalleled. When he shouted, the nearby students stopped to watch. Sun Jiwei was very depressed these days. Not only was he scolded by his sister, but the limit of his pocket money was also strongly controlled. This wasn't a big deal. When he went to the tutor's office, he was also criticized by the tutor. He said that he didn't unite with his classmates and formed a clique. Isn't forming a clique and uniting with classmates the same thing? Sun Jiwei didn't see the difference between these two. On the way back to the classroom, Sun Jiwei suddenly heard someone shouting, University students defecate and pee everywhere. He couldn't help but feel disgusted. Isn't this a mental illness? So he looked up and glanced at it. Sun Jiwei felt great. Yang Ming, it's actually Yang Ming. Yang Ming was actually caught defecating and peeing everywhere. This news is too shocking. Sun Jiwei's mouth was about to burst open. If this matter was hyped up, Yang Ming's reputation would be ruined in the future. I also vented my anger. Thinking of this, Sun Jiwei quickly ran to the tutor's office. He had to inform the tutor as soon as possible. I can't let this guy settle it privately first. Although it's not a big deal to defecate and pee everywhere in school, if the hyping was done properly, it would at least be a demerit. Sun Jiwei took out his mobile phone as he walked and called his confidants in the class. He asked them to quickly organize people to come and watch the scene of Yang Ming being caught defecating and peeing everywhere. Yang Ming was really helpless now. If this guy wasn't so old, Yang Ming really wanted to give him a kick. Isn't this looking for trouble? When did I defecate and pee everywhere? However, even if I defecate and pee everywhere, it has nothing to do with him, right? In Yang Ming's memory, the school's security office didn't hire an old man as an inspector. Everyone come and see. A university student defecates and pees everywhere. He is caught red-handed and doesn't admit it. Everyone come and see. The old man shouted loudly and more people came to watch. At this time, Sun Jiwei also rushed over with the tutor. Xie Yongqiang's teaching building wasn't far behind, so it only took a few minutes to get here. On the other side, Sun Jiwei's confidants also organized the students in the class, ready to watch Yang Ming make a fool of himself. Tutor Yang Ming. He defecates and pees everywhere. Right there. Sun Jiwei pointed in Yang Ming's direction and exclaimed. Xie Yongqiang frowned. He thought, why is this Sun Jiwei still like a child? Don't you find this kind of thing shameful? Why are you still promoting it? Yang Ming was angry when he saw Sun Jiwei's dead face. This guy is really like a big horse monkey jumping out whenever there is a problem. Chapter 491. Everyone, there is nothing to see. Our class's Yang Ming was caught urinating and defecating everywhere. Everyone please disperse. Sun Jiwei began to speak to the onlookers. He deliberately emphasized the two words Yangming as if he was afraid that others couldn't hear it. AI, this is really embarrassing for our freshman computer science class too. Sun Jiwei continued to nag. Xie Yongqiang almost ran over to give this kid a big slap. Motherfucker, are you doing this deliberately? You mentioned Yangming before and now you say computer science class too. Isn't this the same as insulting me, Xie Yongqiang? I'm the tutor of this class. After you publicize it like this, what will others think of me? My student urinates and defecates everywhere? Wang Jitao also received Sun Jiwei's notification and rushed over. This guy was now sticking to Zhou Jiejia. Yangming, this guy really doesn't pay attention. He actually did this kind of thing. AI. Wang Jitao sighed. This is really a disgrace to the class. As the class monitor of Yangming's original class, I also feel ashamed. Impossible. It must be a misunderstanding. Yangming can't do this kind of thing. Zhou Jiejia shook her head and frowned. Wang Jitao was stunned. Yeah, Yangming is also a fool. Why would he urinate and defecate on campus for no reason? This doesn't make sense, right? It's not like there are no toilets in the school. There are toilets in any teaching building or dormitory building. Since Yangming urinated and defecated in the corner of the teaching building, why didn't he turn around to the indoor toilet? In this cold weather, if he froze off a part of his body? No. Wang Jitao screamed in his heart. An indescribable strange feeling surged in his heart. Why did this scene seem so familiar? Wang Jitao couldn't help but remember a few months ago when he was still in high school. Didn't Chin Afu make such a big mistake? Thinking of this, Wang Jitao slapped his head. Was this Sun Jiwei playing with fire? Seeing that Yangming was not panicking at all, Wang Jitao was a little anxious. At this time there were more and more onlookers. Many people also recognized Yangming. This guy was the awesome guy who defeated the president of the Taekwondo club with the brick-breaking martial arts. Yangming, what's going on? Xie Yongqiang walked over with a sullen face and whispered to Yangming. Nothing much. This old man is crazy. He pulled me aside and insisted that I urinate and defecate everywhere. He wants to find me. Yangming spread out his hands and explained with an indifferent expression. I saw you peeing at the base of the wall over there with my own eyes. Am I wrong? The old man said with a grin. Who are you? Xie Yongqiang turned around and asked the old man. I am an inspector of the campus security office. The old man said with a stiff neck. An inspector of the campus security office? Xie Yongqiang shook his head. He had never heard of an inspector in the campus security office. Moreover, with this old man's age, shouldn't he have retired long ago? It was impossible for the school to recruit such a person to be an inspector. Yeah. The old man said, you are his instructor, right? Talk to him and let him pay the fine obediently. Otherwise, you will report him to the school and give him a demerit. Fine. I will give him a demerit? Xie Yongqiang couldn't help but be amused after listening. What is this? First of all, the school won't simply fine a student. Moreover, Yangming is my student. I will criticize and educate him. Who are you? Is it your turn to point fingers here? Yes. If he doesn't pay the fine, you will give him a demerit. The old man said confidently. You are from the school security office? Xie Yongqiang looked at the red armband on the old man's arm suspiciously. There was no writing on it. It was completely a piece of red cloth. Yeah. The old man glanced at Xie Yongqiang and nodded. You should take care of your student now. What are you doing as an instructor? Why are you asking about me? Although Xie Yongqiang was puzzled, he thought that the old man was right. First, he had to solve the problem of Yangming peeing everywhere. Otherwise, it wouldn't be good to stand here like this. Yangming, can you tell me what happened first? Xie Yongqiang already had doubts about the old man's identity, so he decided to listen to Yangming's opinion. Teacher Xie, when did I pee everywhere? Why don't you ask him where I peed and peed? Yangming said helplessly. You were in the corner. If you don't believe me, let's go and take a look, said the old man. Let's go. I think if we don't get to the bottom of it, you won't give up. Yangming smiled. Therefore, the old man Yangming and the instructor Xie Yongqiang walked together to the bottom of the wall. When they came to the bottom of the wall, the old man pointed at a place and said, This is here. What happened here? Xie Yongqiang looked at the dry ground and asked in confusion. The old man was also stunned. He looked at the ground and there was no trace of water. He couldn't help but wonder, impossible. Could it be that it has already dried? Dried? Yang Ming sneered. Do you think it's summer? Look carefully, where are the traces of urine and feces? The old man was at a loss. Could it be that his judgment was wrong? At this time the surrounding students also came over. When they saw that there were no traces of urine and feces on the ground, they began to sigh. Many of the students who were caught by the old man also began to take the opportunity to make a fuss. This old man is a liar. Teacher, you have to take him and hand him over to the school. That's right. Let's see if there is any black screen. How can there be such a thing? Fine, casually. Who gave him the right? Another student shouted. That's right. Who does he think he is? The school didn't set up a relevant system. He fined himself? Another student shouted. Everyone stop arguing. I am the class monitor of Yang Ming's class. I think this is the right thing to do. Sun Jiwei saw that the voices were now on Yang Ming's side. He was a little anxious and jumped out and said, if there is something wrong, then there is something wrong. Besides, if you don't make a wretched action that is misunderstood, then you can't let this old man misunderstand. That's right. The old man saw that someone was exonerating him. He was immediately happy and echoed. But who is this idiot? The students on the side were immediately unwilling. Class monitor? He's the class monitor? I think he ran out of a mental hospital, right? Motherfucker, everyone beat him up. Someone suddenly threw a snowball at Sun Jiwei's face. Immediately after, countless snowballs were thrown at Sun Jiwei. Students are actually the most simple and most united. They are also the most impulsive. When someone threatened their collective interests, they would erupt and attack them as a group. For example, the current Sun Jiwei has become a public enemy in the eyes of the surrounding students. He actually helped the old man to exonerate. He helped the old man to reprimand his classmates? Is he still the class monitor? Beat him to death. If the class monitor doesn't speak for us, then what is the use of him? From the beginning, Wang Jitao felt that something was wrong. Now that he saw that Sun Jiwei still dared to jump out, he was even more disappointed. Am I cooperating with such an idiot? If this continues, this kid will ruin my business sooner or later. The Sun Jiwei is too stubborn. Wang Jitao said helplessly to Zhou Jiejia. I said that it must not be Yang Ming's fault. Zhou Jiejia's face showed a smile. Wang Jitao's hand trembled. Motherfucker, I must get Zhou Jiejia. I can't lose to Yang Ming again. Yang Ming, go to hell for me. This time the old man had nothing to say. He just stood there in a daze. Sun Jiwei had long been pulled aside by Xie Yongqiang. What's wrong with you? Why are you interfering? Sun Jiwei was still quite afraid of Xie Yongqiang. After all, this was his own instructor. If he told his own family about it, he would not have a good time. You are the class monitor. How can you be so reckless? Where did all the lessons that you usually learn go? You have to be realistic. You can't just listen to rumors. Xie Yongqiang said angrily, how about this? You go back and write a 10,000-word reflection for me. Yes. Sun Jiwei didn't dare to say anything. He left with his tail between his legs. Yang Ming's matter was also clarified. Everyone also dispersed. As for the old man, it had to be mentioned. This matter was reported by Xie Yongqiang to the school. After the school investigated, they found that the old man was the father of an employee of the security department. He had been using the name of the security department to impose fines for a long time. The security department also cared about their reputation and didn't drive him away. So many people were punished. The old man was also expelled from the school. Fortunately, this guy was too old, so the school didn't send him to the police station. Chapter 492. Sun Jiwei was very depressed. Why is it that every time I try to sabotage Yang Ming, instead I get into trouble every time? Last time I was caught by my sister. This time I was reprimanded by the tutor. Sun Jiwei searched on the internet for a long time. It was not easy to paste a magnificent work, a self-reflection letter. After calculating the number of words, it was about 10,000 words. Then he saved and printed it. After printing it, Sun Jiwei was preparing to bind it. A confidant in the dormitory came back and saw Sun Jiwei printing something, so he curiously took a look. I acted like a hooligan today. The confidant turned a few pages and read it casually. Brother Sun, you acted like a hooligan? What? Sun Jiwei was stunned. He quickly took it and looked at it. He found out that he didn't pay attention when he copied it, so he mixed in someone else's words. Sun Jiwei was shocked. Fortunately, it was seen by his confidant. Otherwise, if it was handed over to Xie Yongqiang, he would be scolded badly. Sun Jiwei quickly threw away the printed self-reflection letter and revised it again. Yang Ming returned to the dormitory. Tian Donghua was chatting in front of the computer in the hall. A new computer? Yang Ming glanced at it and asked. I went with Wang Shui yesterday. I got 2. How is it? A quad-core CPU. Is it cool? Tian Donghua said while typing. What's the difference between chatting with a quad-core CPU and a single-core CPU? Yang Ming glanced at Tian Donghua's computer desktop. Except for a QQ program icon, it was empty. I guess this guy bought the computer for chatting. Ugh, is it? Tian Donghua scratched his head and said, I don't know. Wang Shui said that Zhou Jiejie wrote the configuration for her. We followed this. Wang Shui is a computer science student. It should be useful. I just followed along and matched the same, hee. Up to you, but this is a 22-inch LCD screen. You just open a chat window. Don't you feel tired looking at it? Yang Ming wondered. Wang Shui. Yang Ming glanced at the computer screen and asked. Tian Donghua nodded. You two are progressing really fast. Yang Ming glanced at the QQ chat box on the computer screen, which was filled with terms like husband and wife. Not long after, Zhang Bin also came back. As soon as he entered and saw Yang Ming, he shouted, Damn, the awesome guy who pees everywhere is back. Urinate and defecate everywhere? Yang Ming smiled bitterly. You know about it too? Isn't the news spreading too fast? Not only me, even Qin Mengyan knows. Zhang Bin said. No way. Yang Ming's eyes widened. It's all that idiot Sun Jiwei's fault. Yes, but everyone knows that it was a big mistake and is condemning that old man. Zhang Bin smiled and said, By the way, my dad said that the preparations for the opening of the company are almost done. He asked when you are free. Let's go over together and discuss some things. Let's wait until after the final exam. There are only a few days left. Yang Ming glanced at the calendar and said. That's fine too. Zhang Bin nodded. Before Zhang Bin finished speaking, Yang Ming's cell phone rang. He picked it up and saw that it was really Qin Mengyan. Hello, Mengyan. Yang Ming picked up the phone. Yang Ming, are you okay? Qin Mengyan's voice sounded a little worried. I'm fine. It's just that the class monitor of our class is annoying. He publicized it so much that everyone knows about it. Yang Ming smiled. It's good that you're fine. But why are you always against the class monitor? Previously it was Wang Jitao and now it's like this. Qin Mengyan asked doubtfully. I say, Yang Ming, are you doing this because of a girl this time? How could it be? Yang Ming didn't lie this time. Although Sun Jiwei was partly because of Wang Jitao, the main reason was still because of the other conflicts between Sun Jiwei and himself. Qin Mengyan sneered twice. She seemed to have lost a little confidence in Yang Ming. Mengyan, have you eaten lunch? Yang Ming asked. Look at the time. Of course I have eaten. You come and go without a trace. Zhao Sisi and Zhang Bin are a couple. Qin Mengyan complained. It's all my fault. Why don't I treat you to dinner tonight? Let's go out and eat. Yang Ming said with some shame. Linji and Sunjia. I have neglected my real girlfriend Qin Meng. Well, it just so happens that I have something to tell you. Qin Mengyan said, I have a Western economics class in the evening. The class won't end until 5:30. Wait for me. What's the matter? Can't you say it over the phone? Yang Ming heard that Qin Mengyan had something to tell him, so he couldn't help but ask first. It's like this. Several universities in our province have organized a winter camp. Now the registration is open. Do you want to join? Qin Mengyan said. Winter camp? When is it? Yang Ming had long heard that university life was more colorful, and there were more extracurricular group activities. Now, after listening to Qin Mengyan, he suddenly became interested. The major universities in our province generally have their final exams in these few days. The winter camp is on the 10th of this month. Qin Mengyan said, there is a notice posted at the entrance of the main building of the university. It is jointly organized by the student unions of several universities. Okay, I will take a look at it in a while. Let's discuss it again at night. Yang Ming nodded after listening. Needless to say, since Qin Mengyan asked this, she definitely wanted to participate in this winter camp. Otherwise, she wouldn't ask for his opinion. In the afternoon, Yang Ming's class didn't have classes. Today was the last day before the final exam. Except for a few specific departments, many departments were on holiday. He didn't sleep well last night. Yang Ming planned to sleep well and then go out with Chen Mengyan at night. It would be best to have a candlelight dinner or something like that. Yang Ming took off his shoes and fell on the bed in the dormitory. Before he fell asleep, the phone in the living room rang. Yang Ming didn't care. Anyway, Tian Donghua was surfing the internet. But it didn't take long for Tian Donghua's loud voice to come. Yang Ming, the administrator downstairs, called. Someone downstairs is looking for you. What? Looking for me? After Yang Ming heard it, he had to get up from the bed again. He came to the living room helplessly. Who is looking for me? How would I know? Tian Donghua shook his head. The administrator didn't say. He just asked me to inform you to go down quickly. Damn. Yang Ming reluctantly put on his coat. Who is looking for me? They didn't come up directly, but they asked me to go down. It is probably a girl. If it was a boy, he would come up directly. Tian Donghua said. A girl? Yang Ming frowned. It definitely couldn't be Chen Mengyan. Besides Zhao Ying and Zhou Jiejia, who could come to find him? Who could it be? Yang Ming went downstairs and looked downstairs with his special ability. At first glance, he couldn't help but curse. Damn. It was actually the two young men in sunglasses I met in the morning. Are they fucking done yet? They can even find out my dormitory. It's really hard for these two guys. Seeing that it was the two of them, Yang Ming didn't want to go down because Yang Ming felt that he had nothing to say to them. They weren't the people behind the scenes in the end. Yang Ming didn't want to waste time with them. However, soon Yang Ming changed his mind. Because he had seen what the two of them were talking about. You say, why is this Yang Ming so arrogant that he can bother the boss to see him personally? Said the man in sunglasses. Who knows? It seems that the boss seems to value this person. I don't know what's the matter, said the man in sunglasses. This guy is really slow. He hasn't come down yet after so long? Do you want to call again to urge him? Said the man in sunglasses impatiently. I think it's fine. After the man in sunglasses finished speaking, he said to the dormitory's administrator, you should urge that Yang Ming again. Why is he so slow? Why are you urging him? The administrator glared at the man in sunglasses and said, you guys go out and wait. After that, he ignored these two people, making the two men in sunglasses very embarrassed. When Yang Ming saw this, he smiled slightly and deliberately slowed down to let them wait for a while. Finally, Yang Ming came downstairs and appeared in front of the two men in sunglasses. Your boss is here? Where is he? Yang Ming asked directly, and the two men in sunglasses were suddenly at a loss. They thought that Yang Ming would be surprised to see them, but they didn't expect Yang Ming to directly say their purpose. How do you know that our boss is here? Asked the man in sunglasses. If he didn't come, I'm afraid that the two of you would have come in vain. Yang Ming said faintly. The temper of the man in sunglasses was obviously not very good. He wanted to lose his temper. The man in sunglasses stopped him. Mr. Yang, our boss is in the car outside the campus. Come with us. Chapter 493. In a car outside the school? Are you trying to put on airs with me? Yang Ming pretended to look casually in the direction of the school gate. Yang Ming was amused. Sure enough, I was right. This is really putting on airs with me. In the morning, he drove a Rolls-Royce Phantom, and in the afternoon he turned into an RV of an unknown brand. Yang Ming didn't know much about this kind of luxury car. He usually watched the news of the car home. What he knew were some popular sports cars and some more popular luxury cars. As for these rare cars in the country, Yang Ming couldn't recognize them. However, even if he didn't recognize them, Yang Ming could see from the appearance of the car and the exquisite paint that this car was definitely not cheap. Mr. Yang, our boss has come personally. I hope you can give us face and don't make it difficult for us. Sunglasses man number 1 hesitated and said in a very polite tone. He was really afraid that Yang Ming would turn around and leave this time. Then he wouldn't be able to report to his boss. Let's go. Yang Ming had already seen their so-called boss at this time. However, Yang Ming didn't recognize him. Yang Ming was sure that he had never seen this person before. It was a woman who was about 30 to 40 years old. Because the woman took good care of herself, Yang Ming couldn't determine her real age. Could be said that she was in her early 30s or early 40s. The woman's clothes were very luxurious and solemn. At this moment she was closing her eyes in the car, but there was an indescribable aura around her. However, this woman looked a bit familiar. However, it was only familiar. Yang Ming was sure that he didn't know her. Since it was a woman, Yang Ming couldn't be too stingy. He had to show his gentlemanly demeanor. Although Yang Ming didn't know what this woman wanted to do with him, the two sunglasses men were very careful. One led the way for Yang Ming and the other stayed behind. They were afraid that Yang Ming would leave. Yang Ming laughed in his heart. It must be that these two people did not do a good job in the morning and were reprimanded by this woman. Now they were afraid that they would mess up again. When they arrived at the campus gate, the man in sunglasses leading the way opened the door of the RV and said to Yang Ming, "Mr. Yang, get in the car." Yang Ming nodded and got into the car without hesitation. He had already seen the situation in the RV beforehand, so Yang Ming was not afraid that these two people would plot against him. In that case, Yang Ming would take the woman in the car hostage in 0.01 seconds. At this time, the lady in the car also opened her eyes. Seeing Yang Ming get in the car, she just nodded to him and said, "Sit." Yang Ming was not reserved and sat directly opposite the lady. The facilities in the RV were very luxurious. The sofa was made of real leather and it was very comfortable to lean on. This car was good. Yang Ming did not bother with the lady. Instead, he looked at the interior of the RV. In the future, I can also buy one. Or encourage Sun Jie to buy one so that the two of us can be inside. Hee, what are you laughing at? The lady saw that Yang Ming did not speak, but his mouth showed a treacherous smile as soon as he got in the car. She found it strange. "Nothing. This car is good." Yang Ming shrugged and said, "Is it?" The lady asked, "You don't know how to avoid taboo. You are so boastful when you talk." "Avoid taboo? Why should I avoid taboo?" Yang Ming was stunned. "What is boastful?" "In a word, you are with my daughter because of my family's money, right?" The lady said sarcastically. "Your daughter? Your family's money?" Yang Ming looked at the lady and widened his eyes. "Who is your daughter?" "The only women who are related to me are Qin Mengyan, Lin Jiun, Lan Ling, and Shao Qing. I have already met Qin Mengyan and Lin Jiun's parents. I have also met Lan Ling's grandmother. Then there's Shao Qing. Chu Huifang is my godmother. How can I not know her? Aside from these, whose mother is this woman in front of me?" Yang Ming's head was full of question marks and he couldn't figure it out. Could it be Xia's mother is looking for me? It's not possible. Yang Ming shook his head and looked at the lady in front of him. "Which one? What do you mean? You dare to do it but you don't dare to admit it?" The lady sneered. "I say, this auntie, are you looking for the wrong person?" Yang Ming was confused. "Yes, I am looking for you. Aren't you Yang Ming? Songjiang Industry University's Computer Science Department student of Level 08 Class 2. The lady directly said Yang Ming's identity. Father is a workshop worker in the Songjiang bus factory. Mother is unemployed. You investigated me? Yang Ming frowned. No matter whose mother this person was, her approach made Yang Ming feel disgusted. "If I didn't investigate you, how would I know the purpose of you being with my daughter?" said the lady. Yang Ming was speechless. He was dumbfounded as he looked at the woman in front of him. "Are you done? If you are done, I will get off the car. First, I don't know you. My girlfriend's mother doesn't look like you. Second, you investigated me, which made me very unhappy. Your temper is quite bad. Don't think that I don't know that you called my daughter." The lady said coldly. "I called your daughter? Who is your daughter?" Yang Ming said impatiently, "If you want to talk to me, say it clearly. Don't be vague." "You still want to pretend?" The lady snorted. "You and my daughter sit together in class every day. Don't think that I don't know. Sit together?" Yang Ming was stunned and then he said in surprise, "Zhou Jiejia? Your daughter?" He finally remembered. "Seems that you have quite a lot of girlfriends." The lady looked at Yang Ming contemptuously. "I didn't expect you to make a living in this industry. I thought who it was." Yang Ming sneered and frowned. "Are you talking about Zhou Jiejia? Hee, then you can rest assured. I have nothing to do with her. It's useless for you to deny it. I have investigated the matter very clearly." The lady looked at Yang Ming's action and said with disgust, "Today, I want you to explain it clearly to me. I think my words have been very clear. I have nothing to do with Zhou Jiejia. Yang Ming finished faintly and was about to stand up. What is this? Listening to this woman's words, I am interested in her family's money? Moreover, it seems that she means that I am relying on women to live off women? 100,000. You take the money and leave. When the woman saw that Yang Ming was about to leave, she was a little anxious and directly set her price. 100,000? Yang Ming snorted. This self-righteous woman is really stupid. I have nothing to do with her daughter and she took out 100,000 yuan just like that? What a sucker. But even if she was a sucker, Yang Ming didn't intend to take her money. There was no other reason. Yang Ming wasn't short of money and this money wasn't worth it. Once he took her money it would be like he really did something. I will give you 100,000 yuan to let you do something imaginary. Are you willing? Yang Ming snorted and replied. Your tone is not small. Seems that you have cheated a lot in the past few years. The noblewoman was a little surprised. Listening to Yang Ming's tone, it seemed that 100,000 yuan was nothing to him. Does this have anything to do with you? Yang Ming was too lazy to refute. This woman is unreasonable. In fact, Zhou Jiejia's mother wasn't an impulsive person. She felt that 100,000 yuan was too high. The reason why she said her bottom price was because the matter was related to her daughter, so she was a little anxious. However, it seemed that her price wasn't very high. This Yang Ming in front of her didn't care about this 100,000 yuan at all. Don't go too far. The noblewoman restored her usual calmness. 100,000 yuan is my bottom line. Don't expect to get more money. Zhou Jiejia doesn't even have this much money. What does it have to do with me whether she has money or not? Yang Ming smiled and said, How many times do I have to tell you before you understand? I have nothing to do with Zhou Jiejia. Aren't you afraid of losing everything? Be careful that you don't even have 100,000 yuan. The noblewoman threatened. 100,000 yuan? Keep it for your daughter as a dowry. Yang Ming said faintly, I am not interested in her. Moreover, I don't want to see you again. I hope you have some self-awareness and don't bother me. Yang Ming, don't regret it. Don't even think about the matter between you and Zhou Jiejia in the future. The noblewoman said, Now the money is in front of you. If you don't take it, you won't have it in the future. It doesn't matter. 100,000 yuan? Is it a lot? Yang Ming smiled self-deprecatingly. Perhaps before he became a rich man he might be tempted. Now there was no special feeling at all. Yang Ming stood up and deliberately shook his shoulders. He said to himself, wasting time. After that he knocked on the door and said, Open the door. I'm getting off. The sunglasses man looked at the noblewoman and didn't know if he should open the door for Yang Ming. Chapter 494. Don't regret it if you don't open the door. Yang Ming sneered, I don't know if this door can be kicked open. Open it for him. The lady said with a sullen face. Don't worry, Zhou Jiejia. I didn't like her very much. You are more annoying than her. Yang Ming said viciously. Originally Yang Ming didn't hate Zhou Jiejia so much. With their current relationship it wasn't bad to be friends. But now Zhou Jiejia's mother inexplicably appeared and slandered Yang Ming for having an affair with her daughter. This made Yang Ming very upset. Who am I? A rag picker? Why would I want a bad girl like Zhou Jiejia who ruined my life? Even if I wanted her, Xia wouldn't be willing. Therefore Yang Ming decided that after he went back he would draw a clear line with this bad girl. Yang Ming didn't intend to be wronged again. This kind of feeling was really too strange. If I really had something with Zhou Jiejia, Yang Ming would accept it. Then she would be my mother-in-law. Whether she scolded me or despised me I couldn't say anything. But what is this now? Yang Ming was depressed for a while. Yang Ming was depressed. Zhou Jiejia's mother was also very depressed. What does this kid mean? Why is he so rude? Could it be that he doesn't want to climb up the social ladder? But anyway, Mother Zhou felt that she still had to find a husband for her daughter as soon as possible. Otherwise this kid still has a chance. Wang Jitao saw the way Zhou Jiejia looked at Yang Ming today. He felt uncomfortable in his heart. After returning to the dormitory, the more he thought about it, the more uncomfortable it felt. This Yang Ming, what is so good about him? Why am I always the one who gets hurt? However, Wang Jitao couldn't do anything. He really couldn't find any way to retaliate against Yang Ming. Moreover, Wang Jitao had recently warned Wang Jitao to be low-key. He didn't even allow him to drive the Honda Accord out. He said that the higher-ups were investigating closely. Huang Yukai was asked by the police to understand the situation. Why were they looking for Huang Yukai? In fact, the police paid attention to Huang Youcai's accident. In fact, the accident had nothing to do with the smuggled car, so Huang Yukai didn't reveal any flaws. He was able to fool the police with a few words. As for other things, he didn't know anything at all. However, if Huang Yukai didn't say anything, Su Daji couldn't guarantee it. Because Huang Yukai had just been taken away by the police, Su Daji called Wang Shifan. He was so flustered that he was afraid that the police would find him. He also tried to persuade Wang Shifan to surrender. Wang Shifan was so angry. I'm not even panicking. Why are you panicking? However, after all, he was his brother-in-law. Wang Shifan couldn't say anything. However, Wang Shifan didn't say anything. Huang Yukai was a little worried. President Wang, Su Daji's mouth is too unreliable. Huang Yukai just came out of the police station and began to plot with Wang Shifan. Why do you say that? Wang Shifan was also a little guilty. I'm fine. What kind of situation haven't I, Huang Yukai, seen before? After going in, I will say what should be said. I won't say anything that shouldn't be said. But Su Di can't guarantee it. Huang Yukai said, if he goes in, who knows if he can spit out everything about us through coercion and bribery. Damn, I'm really a little worried when you say this. If I knew, I wouldn't let this kid know so many things. Wang Shifan said, what do we do now? What do we do? It's actually very simple. Huang Yukai smiled. Let him run away? Wang Shifan hesitated and said, it's hard to say to my wife. Besides, the police are investigating so strictly now. Can he run away? President Wang, sometimes you are too soft-hearted. Huang Yukai shook his head. What kind of situation is it now? Do you still need to consider others? We are now committing a big crime of smuggling. If we are caught, we will lose our heads. Then, should I talk to him? Wang Shifan thought about it and said, why don't we go to Su Daji's place and persuade him to run away? Okay, let's go. Give him some money from the finance department. Huang Yukai reminded. Yes, you go and do it. Withdraw 100,000 yuan from the finance department. Wang Shifan said. Okay, President Wang, I will do it now. Huang Yukai replied, but he sneered in his heart. This money, I'm afraid I will get it back the same way I took it. Sude, you don't have the blessing to enjoy it anymore. Out of Wang Shifan's office, Huang Yukai controlled the automatic wheelchair and went to the finance department. Wang Shifan had already made a phone call, so Huang Yukai went directly and got 100,000 yuan. After getting the money, Huang Yukai called Wang Shifan. Wang Shifan had already gone downstairs first. The less people knew about this, the better, so Wang Shifan drove himself and didn't bring a driver. In the elevator, Huang Yukai called Su Daji. People are in the underworld. Sometimes they have to be ruthless. President Wang's heart is still not black enough. Oh, Su Daji. I'm Huang Yukai. Huang Yukai picked up the phone seriously. Brother Yukai, how are you? I heard that you were just released from the police station? Su Daji asked nervously. And I am out. Huang Yukai said in a low tone, the situation isn't very good. The police have already understood part of the situation, then can we both be fine? Su Daji was most concerned about himself, but he couldn't ask directly, so he asked if he and Huang Yukai were fine. If Huang Yukai was fine, then he definitely wouldn't be in any trouble. It's not very optimistic. Those cars were sold from your hands. Probably when something really happens, President Wang will push the blame to you. Huang Yukai said seriously, so you have to be careful. No way. He's my brother-in-law. He won't harm me, right? Su Daji asked. Brother-in-law? Huang Yukai sneered. This is an imminent disaster. If he doesn't push the blame to you, he will lose his own head. Husband and wife are birds in the same forest. When a disaster arrives, they will fly separately. Haven't you heard of this before? This? Su Daji was originally timid. After listening to Huang Yukai, he was immediately scared. Brother Yukai, what should I do? I'm scared. Doesn't that mean I'm dead meat? AI. Not to mention you, I can't even protect myself. Throw away the rook to save the king. This is the truth that has never changed. I pity both of us. Huang Yukai said with some sadness. Then, that means there is no hope? Sudaji was anxious. His voice had a sobbing tone. This is not to say that there is no hope. There is a way, but I can't tell you now. Huang Yukai hesitated. Brother Yukai. Brother, if you have a good idea you have to tell your brother. You can't just watch me die. Sudaji said quickly, we are now grasshoppers on the same rope. Brother Yukai, you can't just ignore me. It's not that I don't care about you, but your relationship with President Wang, brother-in-law. I don't dare to say. Huang Yukai continued to whet Sudaji's appetite. Motherfucker, you're going to push me out. What brother-in-law? Brother-in-law, his motherfucking dog shit. Sudaji cursed anxiously. It depends on whether you dare to put righteousness before family. Huang Yukai hesitated for a long time and said this sentence. Put righteousness before family? What do you mean? Sudaji's IQ still didn't respond. Both of us will go to the police station to surrender, said Huang Yukai. Surrender? Is that okay? Isn't that courting death? Sudaji was stunned. What courting death? What crime are we guilty of? We are just running errands, not the behind-the-scenes mastermind. If we surrender, we are just accomplices. If we talk about President Wang's matter, it is called redeeming ourselves. Then when we go to court we will act as witnesses. Then we will definitely be given a lighter sentence. Huang Yukai continued to instigate. At that time, we may be given a suspended sentence or something. Really? Sudaji was surprised after listening. You said that not only will we not die but we may also be given a suspended sentence? Nonsense, we didn't do the smuggling. Why would we be sentenced to death? Huang Yukai said with a glare. You are right. This is a good idea. Sudaji was happy. Then let's surrender? And you listen to me now. When I called you I used an encrypted channel. Your cell phone isn't high-end. It doesn't have this function. Huang Yukai said, you must not make any more calls. President Wang has already monitored your phone and yours. Do you know that? I know. I won't call. Sudaji said quickly. And President Wang is a ruthless person. You know it. Huang Yukai said, if you let him know that you have this idea, then you are finished. Chapter 495. I understand, Brother Yukai. No matter how stupid I am, I don't dare to joke with my life. Sudaji nodded. You tell me. What should I do? You go downstairs now and wait for me at the entrance of the police station near your home. I will go now. Let's turn ourselves in together, said Huang Yukai. Okay, I will go now, said Sudaji. Okay, see you later, said Huang Yukai. Hanging up the phone, Huang Yukai smiled. Downstairs they came to the underground parking lot under the group. Wang Shifan had already driven out a very broken Audi 100 sedan. This car was probably scrapped. The sound of the engine wasn't good. Get in the car. Wang Shifan jumped out from the driver's seat, then opened the door of the front passenger seat and helped Huang Yukai in. Huang Yukai quickly said, Thank you, President Wang. Sorry to trouble you to help me. What are you talking about? This is also a work injury, said Wang Shifan indifferently. This car was covered with a fake foreign license plate, so he wasn't afraid of being noticed by others. The car went to Sudaji's hiding place. On the way, Wang Shifan suddenly received a phone call. Oh, what's the matter? Wang Shifan glanced at the incoming number and quickly picked up the phone. President Wang, Brother Su went downstairs. The person who called was the person Wang Shifan sent to secretly monitor Sudaji. Of course, Sudaji hadn't done anything yet, so he still called Sudaji as Brother Su. After all, this person was President Wang's brother-in-law. Went downstairs. What is he going downstairs for? Didn't we buy enough daily necessities and food for him for a week? Wang Shifan frowned. I don't know. What should I do now? Asked the underling on the phone. And, you follow him first, see what he is going to do. Keep in touch at all times, said Wang Shifan. Hanging up the phone, Wang Shifan said to Huang Yukai, Sudaji went downstairs. I don't know what this guy is going to do. Went downstairs. Huang Yukai pretended to be surprised. No way. Didn't we prepare daily necessities and enough food for him? Besides, there's everything there. Cable TV and a computer are given to him. He doesn't lack anything to play with, right? That's what I'm talking about. So, I have people keep an eye on him. Wang Shifan said with some doubts. President Wang. Is this guy going to turn himself in or something? Huang Yukai suddenly turned his face and said seriously. Surrender? It shouldn't be. If he surrenders himself it won't be a small matter. Wang Shifan was stunned. He isn't that mentally ill, right? It's hard to say. I don't think this guy is a tough nut to crack. Huang Yukai said, moreover his matter is much smaller than ours. If something happens to us we will definitely lose our heads. That guy shouldn't be sentenced too heavily, motherfucker. When you say this I'm really a little worried. Wang Shifan said worriedly, this guy can't really turn himself in, right? It's hard to say. Huang Yukai shook his head solemnly. President Wang, let's hurry up. Don't let anything bad happen. And Wang Shifan said as he changed gears again and accelerated to the hiding place of Su Daji. When he was about to reach Su Daji's downstairs, the phone rang again. Wang Shifan picked up the phone. Hello. Wang Shifan just said the word hello and was interrupted by the other party. Not good, President Wang. It was the call from the underling who was responsible for guarding Su Daji. What's wrong? Why are you in such a panic? Wang Shifan's heart suddenly had a bad premonition, but he still said calmly, what the hell is going on? Speak slowly. Su Daji is walking in the direction of the police station. The underling exclaimed. What did you say? Wang Shifan was shocked. Are you sure? He is wandering in front of the police station. The underling said in a hurry. Motherfucker. Wang Shifan slammed the steering wheel and looked at Huang Yukai. This kid is really going to turn himself in. President Wang. Huang Yukai suddenly said, you can't hesitate anymore. Those who achieve great things don't care about trivial matters. If this drags on you and I will be finished. Then what do you think we should do? Wang Shifan was shocked. I actually had the intention to kill. He didn't dare to think about it. He quickly asked Huang Youcai's idea. President Wang, you can't be indecisive now. Huang Yukai said, this guy Su Daji is a ticking time bomb. If we don't eliminate the root of the problem, it will be a big trouble sooner or later. Wang Shifan was shocked. What do you mean? Yes. Huang Yukai made a gesture on his neck. Now there is no choice. Either he dies or we are finished. But, is there no other way? Wang Shifan was moved. He had just had the intention to kill. Now he was instigated by Huang Yukai. He was more determined to get rid of Su Daji. Only the dead can't talk. Huang Yukai said faintly. Wang Shifan was silent. President Wang, there is no time. You think about it. If you have an accident, what should Wang Jitao do? He is still in school. Huang Yukai saw that Wang Shifan was hesitating. He had to mention Wang Jitao. When Wang Shifan heard the name of Wang Jitao, he finally nodded and said, kill him. After that, Wang Shifan picked up the phone and dialed the phone number of his underling. You make Su Daji unconscious and then find a hidden place to wait for me. Understood, President Wang. The underling was a member of the Wang family's secret force, the Wang family's special forces. His master was the kind of people like Hun Tianba and Fei Tianqi, so it was easy to make Su Daji unconscious. AI. Wang Shifan sighed. After all, the person who was going to kill was his own brother-in-law. Wang Shifan's heart was still somewhat uncomfortable. If it were someone else, Wang Shifan wouldn't have such a sense of guilt. President Wang, we have to focus on the overall situation. For Wang Jitao. Huang Yukai kept fanning the flames. I understand. Wang Shifan nodded and started the car. He came to the agreed place with the underling. He quickly put the fainted Su Daji in the backseat of the car. After explaining a few words to the underling, he quickly drove away from here. West Star Mountain, an abandoned construction site. President Wang, why are you still hesitating at this time? Just stab him to death. Huang Yukai sat in a folding wheelchair and looked at Su Daji on the ground. Or, after he wakes up I will ask him. Ask him what he was going to do at the police station. Wang Shifan said with some reluctance. President Wang, do you still need to ask? Of course he is going to the police station to surrender himself. Otherwise, why would he go to the police station? Huang Yukai certainly didn't want Su Daji to wake up. No, I have to ask him. After all, he is my brother-in-law. I can't be so hasty. Wang Shifan finally shook his head and said. Well, I will wake him up. Huang Yukai hesitated and then leaned over. He held a dagger in his right hand and patted Su Daji's face with his left hand. Daji, wake up. How did you fall asleep? Hurry up and wake up. Oh. Su Daji was touched by Huang Yukai. He woke up in a daze. He looked up and saw Huang Yukai. Then he said, how did I fall asleep? Aren't I going to surrender myself? Surrender yourself. You want to surrender yourself? After listening to Su Daji's words, Wang Shifan immediately jumped up. Wang. President Wang? Why are you here? Su Daji suddenly heard Wang Shifan's voice and was immediately shocked. Brother Yukai, what is going on? Huang Yukai was shocked. He waved his right hand and stabbed Su Daji's chest. He shouted, President Wang treated you well. He even gave you 100,000 yuan. You actually did this to him. Then I'm sorry. Huang. Su Daji widened his eyes and looked at Huang Yukai in shock and anger. Shua shua shua. After 3 stabs, Su Daji finally died with his eyes wide open. President Wang, you can't do it. I will be the bad guy. Huang Yukai pretended to be righteous and said, I didn't expect Su Daji to be such a person. AI, forget it. You did the right thing. I really can't do it. Wang Shifan shook his head. Let's quickly clean up the scene and then leave here. President Wang, my legs are not good. I can only hand over the work of digging the hole to you. Huang Yukai said apologetically. What are you talking about? Yukai, you are a trustworthy person. From today onwards we will advance and retreat together. If there is a day when something really happens to me, take care of Jitao for me. Wang Shifan said with emotion. Chapter 496. President Wang, what are you talking about? If something really happens, I, Huang Yukai, will definitely cover for you first. Huang Yukai listened to Wang Shifan's words and immediately got a little excited. Although Huang Yukai liked to play dirty, he also knew that Wang Shifan was kind to him. Wang Shifan didn't treat him like an outsider. Wang Shifan gave him a lot of the money he earned from smuggling in the past few years. Moreover, Huang Yukai was also a person above everyone else in the company. So no matter what Huang Yukai did, his starting point was still for Wang Shifan's good. You can't do it. Wang Shifan shook his head. When that day comes, they will definitely look for me. No one will believe that you, a secretary, can do so many things. So Yukai, you listen well. If there is a day when something happens to me, I will take all the blame and leave you clean. You don't have to admit anything and insist that it has nothing to do with you. President Wang, how can this be? If something happens, we will advance and retreat together. Huang Yukai said quickly. You listen to me first. Wang Shifan waved his hand and stopped Huang Yukai from continuing. Wang Jitao is still a child. He can't have no one to take care of him. If something really happens to me, you will help me take care of him and raise him up. The Wang's group will be left to him. I understand, President Wang. Huang Yukai nodded solemnly. Wang Shifan dragged Su Daji's body and came to a small foundation that had been half built before. Then he was going to push Su Daji's body down. Wait. Huang Yukai said quickly. What's wrong? Wang Shifan was stunned. Look at the things on his body. Is there anything that can expose his identity? Huang Yukai said. And you are still thoughtful. Wang Shifan nodded and quickly searched Su Daji's body. Huang Yukai also followed him to search. Sure enough, they found Su Daji's wallet in his pocket with his ID card and several business cards. Wang Shifan threw the wallet to Huang Yukai. Take it back to the company and destroy it. Understood. Huang Yukai nodded cautiously and put away the wallet. He searched Su Daji's body back and forth several times before he nodded to Wang Shifan. Done. Wang Shifan sighed. Then he pushed Su Daji's body down and covered it with some broken building materials. By the time the corpse was discovered, it would have rotted away by the beginning of spring. However, Huang Yukai, who was so cautious, made a fatal mistake. He neglected some small details. Yang Ming got off from Zhou Jiejia's mother's RV and went straight to the school's main teaching building. He wanted to see the notice of the winter camp that Qin Mengyan mentioned. When they arrived near the main teaching building, Yang Ming saw the notice of the winter camp. There were also a few students nearby. It was a rather large poster and it was quite eye-catching. Yang Ming looked up and saw the title, To Enrich the After-School Activities of University Students. Yang Ming directly skipped over this kind of repetition and found the key points below to continue reading. It turned out that this activity was jointly organized by the student unions of several universities. The students of these universities could sign up for it, but they had to pay for it themselves. However, there was a condition when signing up. They must be students who didn't fail the final exam. This condition blocked a large number of people from entering. Originally, the winter vacation was to celebrate the new year. Many students from other places had already bought tickets to go home. After the final exam, they went back directly by bus. There were also some bookworms who loved to study. They simply disdained to participate in such entertainment activities. Therefore, there weren't many people who could satisfy the requirement of not failing the exam, spending the winter vacation locally, and being interested in these extracurricular activities. Most people who were interested in the winter camp shook their heads helplessly. Many of these people were couples, but they couldn't guarantee that they or their other halves wouldn't fail the exam. Yang Ming smiled after reading it. This is simply tailor-made for me. Me failing the exam? It seems unlikely. Qin Mengyan is a good student, so it's impossible for her to fail the exam. Therefore, the matter of 2 people participating in the winter camp could be said to be in the bag. After reading the notice, Yang Ming called Zhang Bin. Big Bin, where are you? Fuck, I'm in class. Zhang Bin scolded. Don't you know that your wife is in class? I'm in the same class as her. You still ask me where I am. Is it convenient to talk? Yang Ming sweated. How could he forget this? He was only thinking about Qin Mingyan's class, but he didn't think about Zhang Bin. Isn't it convenient? Aren't you answering the phone? If you have something to say, just say it. Zhang Bin said. There is a notice about the winter camp at the entrance of the school's main teaching building. Did you see it? Asked Yang Ming. I saw it. Why didn't I see it? Zhao Sisi and I went to see it together. Why? Do you want to go? Whispered Zhang Bin. Qin Mengyan just told me, so I came over to take a look. Why don't we go together after the exam? Suggested Yang Ming. I want to go, but I'm afraid that I will fail the exam. Zhang Bin said helplessly. Zhao Sisi and Qin Mengyan will definitely have no problem. You kid have started to have good luck since your senior year in high school. Your academic performance is like a rocket. I'm the only one left. Then I can't do anything. You find a way yourself. Right, I know a guy named Zhang Weihan. I will ask for you later and see if he can help you. Yang Ming patted his head and suddenly thought of such a person. He specializes in this business. Really? Zhang Bin immediately said happily, that's great. You have to ask for me quickly. Tomorrow is the exam. Okay, I will call you now and ask. Yang Ming nodded and said, please. If it's done, I will treat you. Zhang Bin said happily. If it's done, you will pay for all the expenses of the winter camp. Yang Ming said with a smile. Fuck. You are richer than me, kid, but this is a different matter. I have no opinion. Zhang Bin laughed and hung up the phone. Yang Ming searched his phone for a long time but couldn't find Zhang Weihan's number. He probably didn't save his number after he changed his phone. Yang Ming had no choice but to call Lu Weishan. Now that Zhang Weihan was Lu Weishan's student, Lu Weishan must have his contact information. Sure enough, Lu Weishan just asked a few words and gave Zhang Weihan's phone number to Yang Ming. Yang Ming dialed it directly. Brother Yang, what are you looking for me for? Zhang Weihan heard the voice of Yang Ming and immediately became very enthusiastic. Brother Zhang, I am calling you today because I really have something to trouble you. Yang Ming said. What trouble? You've helped me so much. It's only right that you ask me for help. If there's anything you need, just say the word. If I can do it, I won't hesitate. Zhang Weihan patted his chest and promised. During this time, Zhang Weihan wanted to thank Yang Ming, but he also knew that Yang Ming's godfather was Lu Weishan. There were really few places where he could use him. Instead, he might need Yang Ming in the future. Therefore, now that he heard that Yang Ming wanted to ask him for help, he was immediately very happy. Then I won't be polite. Yang Ming said with a smile, this is the case. My good buddy is in the economics department. He is afraid that he will fail the final exam, so he asked Brother Zhang if you have any connections. Economics department. I am familiar with it. Those graduate students who mark the papers are my buddies. This is definitely not a problem. Zhang Weihan smiled after listening. It's a piece of cake. You tell me your student ID. I guarantee that I will pass all of them. Thank you very much, Brother Zhang. I thank you on behalf of my buddy. Yang Ming said, if you need any favors, just say it. Little Brother Yang, what are you saying? Isn't this a slap to my face? Don't say that I have connections. Even if I don't, I will go and find one for you myself. You don't have to worry about favors. Zhang Weihan pretended to be angry. Isn't your buddy my buddy? Okay, then I won't argue. My buddy and I will treat you to a meal later. Yang Ming didn't insist anymore. He knew that Zhang Weihan was grateful to him and owed him a favor. He sincerely wanted to help him. Otherwise, his heart wouldn't be at ease. Hey, I will treat you later. Zhang Weihan nodded. Text me your student ID later. Yang Ming smiled bitterly and shook his head. He didn't expect it to be so easy. Therefore, he returned a call to Zhang Bin to tell him the good news. After he got his student ID, he sent it to Zhang Weihan. This made Zhang Bin very happy. During the class, he kept giggling. If he didn't fail the exam, Zhang Jiefeng would definitely reward him. You're tuning in to the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.